Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Paperweights. I am your host, Mike.
And I'm the other host, Brandon.
How are you doing today, Brandon?
I am doing fantastic. I
Wonderful.
have revamped my method of setting up tasks for work, and I have been way more productive this week with work, and just excited about that.
Well, that's good.
Jiu-jitsu is going great. The training for jiu-jitsu and February's tournament. Then lifting is going great. Started playing a new video game that came out at the end of last week called Pal World, and it's basically like a survival game mixed with Pokemon.
Okay.
So like you walk around and there's they call them pals, and you can attack them and throw a pal sphere at them and capture them and then deploy them to fight and put them in your base. You can build a base, put them in your base, and they'll work and collect resources so you can, level up, build more stuff.
So somebody ripped off Pokemon and made it a different game?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah,
right on.
essentially. But it's free on my Xbox Game Pass that I pay $10 a month for access to like all sorts of video games.
Right.
So it's like a subscription-based pricing, but you get access to a library of games, and a lot of them times are new.
Yeah,
So,
apparently you can do the same thing with Switch too. I just hadn't really looked too far into it to actually care enough to do it.
yeah. So how are you?
I'm doing all right. Been painting at work all week. I'm about sick of painting, so I'm glad to be off tomorrow and not have to paint for a day. So with all of that, let's dive into book 2, Harry Potter.
Or
You got some Wyoming whiskey going on there?
Whiskey. Yeah. Thanks to my buddy Robin McIntosh. He put me onto this stuff right here. So
Right on. I haven't had Wyoming whiskey yet.
it's a nice one. Make a little pour. Here, look. We're gonna have Professor McGonagall little miniature Funko Pop from a Kinder Joy.
Nice. I hear y'all are collecting those.
Yeah. The page shows, the little insert shows some characters, and you can see Snape right here. But when I looked up online, Snape apparently is a UK exclusive.
Oh.
So yeah, whoever decided
maybe you need to get some friends in the UK and have them send it to you.
Hey, if any of our listeners are from the UK, hit us up on Instagram, and yeah, I would love to have that.
Send Brandon the Professor Snape Funko Pop from the Kinder Joy egg.
Yeah, and there's a Luna Lovegood, a Cho Chang, and a oh my gosh, what's the other one? There's one other one, and I can't remember. But Professor Trelawney.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, and go ahead. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe if you want.
You're supposed to say smash it. Apparently, all the cool people say smash that subscribe button.
Oh, so is it smash?
That's what my kids say.
Smash that like button.
The like or the subscribe, one of them. Just hit all the buttons.
Like that smash button.
Do all the things.
Yeah, and hit that bell so you get that notification when new things drop. What else can we be cliche? Are we content creators now? Can we say that?
I mean,
now?
Technically, we're creating content, so I guess we are
Digital creators.
digital content creators.
And then, or if you're listening on
reading an analog book, or at least I read the analog, you read the digital. So
half analog, half digital. But if you're listening on your podcast apps, leave us a rating and review if you want. It helps grow. So if you like what we're doing any and all of those things helps more people listen, and the more people that listen and interact, the more excited Mike and I get.
yes, more excited. More excited is good, because
Yes.
after inhaling paint fumes for like 3 days, my brain is fried.
Oh, well, let's hopefully unfry it with some Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So, overall, this book way better than the Sorcerer's Stone.
Think so?
Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even close.
I actually found like the first 3/4 of this book to be very boring.
And that's like the first 4 chapters.
3/4 of the book. Like to me,
Oh, you said
the
3?
book doesn't. To me, the book doesn't really pick up until like the last like 4 chapters. Like it just feels like this very long, drawn out. Like it's an easy read, but like it just feels like it takes forever for anything like ominous with like a sense of urgency to happen. Because like we have these little things that happen off and on throughout the book, but like not until like the last few chapters, whenever anything is like, okay, we're about to get some sort of resolution. Like we're finally on it now.
I'm trying to pull up all of my highlights and my notes. Yeah, I have a lot of them. Let's see if I can get back to the beginning of this. It's being slow. No, I'm going to disagree with you on that.
That's fair.
I thought the book was so much better. The action scenes were more drawing in. And I just got like, I found it easier for me to keep reading. Like, the rogue bludger, the very secret diary, and just whenever they would find things from the monster in the that came out of the Chamber of Secrets and killed things. I don't know why I'm saying the monster that came out of the Chamber of Secrets. It's the yes.
The ball sling, I never know how to say that word. Bossling?
The basilisk?
Yeah, basilisk, that's the word.
You said bossling.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yes, the word that could not come to my mind was the basilisk. And if you're
welcome.
listening to this, you hopefully you've read the book. So
I mean, by now, hopefully they have read it.
Yes. So yeah, chapter 1 is the worst birthday. And the only note I wrote here is that Dursleys are absolutely horrendously abusive.
Yeah, they're the world's worst adoptive family ever. Like the world's worst aunt and uncle ever. Like you're supposed like being an aunt and uncle is supposed to be fun. Like you're supposed to be able to have fun with your niece or nephew, and these people are just terrible.
It's just like being a grandma or grandpa. You get to take the kid, have fun with them, and give them back. Except for in Harry's case.
Yeah. I did like how Harry for a little while there was getting to like tease Dudley about making up fake words, and Dudley freaking out thinking that Harry was doing magic. Like I thought that was hilarious. That to me, like that was like the one thing Harry had going for him, was that he could make Dudley think he was going to do magic on him, and Dudley would freak out and run away because he didn't want another pigtail.
Yeah. And like so instead of incorporating Harry into Uncle Vernon's plan of the customer that's coming,
selling the drills.
Yeah, selling drills to. He's like, all right, you're gonna go upstairs and you're not gonna make a sound.
Yeah.
And then we've got all these things going on down here. Petunia's cooking her famous thing. Dudley's gonna be the best boy
Dudley's
ever.
brown nosing his butt off.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. We had to pick a story about a hero. I'm choosing you. Come on, man. He's a construction worker. Are you serious right now? But
Like,
honestly, like in the first chapter, we meet one of my favorite characters in the entire series. I am a huge fan of Dobby. I think Dobby is awesome.
Dobby's really good, but man, is he a danger, right?
Yeah, he is to me what Jar Jar Binks should have been. Like Jar Jar Binks was like aggravating, but like Dobby is like lovably dangerous
Well,
because
you know that
he cares so much. He
you,
wants to
you
do
do know
good.
you do know that Jar Jar Binks is actually the mastermind Sith Lord, right?
I mean, if you follow along with all the people that follow the conspiracy theory, yeah, Jar Jar's the Sith Lord, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why he's the most hated character. So, but man, like as we find out more about Dobby, so we see in chapter 2 when he comes to give his warning, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like making noises, he's bashing his head against the thing. He's like, Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts. Death is their danger. And we later find out that, Dobby closed off the gateway at platform 9 3/4 and has done so many other things, enchanted the bludger to try to get Harry Potter to stay home. And once Harry finds that out, it's like, I don't know. I think a person should be more offended than Harry was.
Well, I'll tell you, like the one thing that really blew my mind, like as far as like Harry in this book, is how quickly he just is okay with crazy things happening. Like he went from the first year at Hogwarts being like, "Oh my god, this is so crazy and wild and weird," and this year 2, he's just like, normal." It's like, come on, like that is way like you are way too quick to adapt, dude. Like that's not that in and of itself is not normal. Just to immediately be like, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah. And
Like
so like
I think it would take more like he sees Dobby in his room and he's just like, okay, cool. House elf.
it's like, I've
What?
never heard of you before. You look weird.
But
Um,
okay, this is just what we're doing today. What?
yeah.
No.
But also, please stop bashing your head on things. You're making too much noise.
Yeah. And like one thing that was like a big difference between the movie and the book was in the movie, Dobby floated that cake and made it land on that lady, the construction worker's wife's head. And that's how but in this, he just dropped a bowl of custard in the kitchen. Like it
Yeah.
didn't land on anybody, just fell in the kitchen and burst everywhere, and they made Harry clean it up.
Yeah.
So, but then of course that's when the Dursleys found out that he actually wasn't allowed to do magic outside of school, and they put bars on his window
Yeah, because of Dobby.
because of Dobby. Wasn't even Harry's fault. It was Dobby.
Now, that's the second. Do we know it's a second floor in the book, right? We definitely know it's a second floor in the movie.
Yeah, we know because he talks about going up and down the stairs. Remember, he's the boy under the stairs. So we know there's 2 stories from book 1 when he's living under the stairs. So
Yes.
so that kind of leads us to believe there's 2 stories.
Yeah. So now he's locked in his room. The door's locked. The windows are barred, and he's
And
like,
they put a flap in the door to feed him, to give him food. Like
he's
this is
basically in
like he's
jail.
he's a POW.
Yeah.
Harry is a POW at this point.
Then his friends come. Like he hears noise outside.
Mhm.
He's like, "What's that?" Or did he hear a noise, or did he just open the curtains?
He heard a noise and he thought Dobby. I think he thought Dobby was back.
But he opens the curtains, and lo and behold, Ron's outside in a car
Yeah.
at eye level with his window. He's like, "What is going on here?" So he's busting him out,
Blowing this popsicle stand.
They tie a rope to the bars,
Mhm.
pull it off of the house, but like somehow not make a lot of noise with
Yes,
that.
somehow a flying car ripping iron bars off the side of a house just went completely unnoticed.
Like I can get the flying car wasn't making noise, but the fact that ripping the bars
Mhm.
off out of the house, I
Yeah.
assume it was like screwed in
It
with
ha
concrete screws
yeah, it had to have
around.
been lag bolted in at the bare minimum. There are lag bolts holding this things on.
And so there's got to be like some irreparable damage or really expensive damage to to the house now.
Plot armor.
And then they get in the car and they take him away. Ron and Fred and
Well
George are there,
well, we
right?
find out Fred and George are driving.
Yeah.
And then we find out that the Weasley twins have decided that learning how to pick locks is a life skill they needed, which I can't say I blame them because they pick the lock from inside Harry's room and go get his trunk from the first floor.
Yeah.
And then they do all that, bring that back, and then Harry runs back in, like realizes, oh crap, I left my bird. So he runs back in to grab Hedwig
Hey,
and now all of a sudden uh Dursley is awake and like charging into the room to get Harry. So
yeah, he's like finally awake. He's like, "Oh
right.
no, you're not gonna get away." It's
Yeah.
like, man, for somebody that doesn't want him there, he does a lot to keep him there.
Right? It's like when Harry's gone, he's like, good, stay. But then once he's back at the house, he's like, no, you stay here. It's like, make up your mind.
Yeah, like where do you want him to be wherever he is?
Yeah. That's not in between. You don't want him to travel in between those two places.
He doesn't want him to have freedom, is what it is.
Yep. So now they fly the car back to
The
the
burrow.
Weasley's house, affectionately named the Burrow, and it is anything but a burrow. It is like the Dr. Seuss house on steroids. It is just like there and like stuff added and things propping it up. And I would actually love to see it in real life. I think that would be a really cool looking house.
Well, you can just go watch the second movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the movie, but I think like see in real life, I think it would be cool to see.
Yeah, and I think the burrow, like I vision when I hear them describe it as the burrow, yeah, I think of a kind of like a hovel hole
Mm-hmm.
that's just not much space, just kind of like a comfort spot, but very dirty and just like not a lot of I mean it's a comfort spot, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to have a lot of amenities or
Right.
anything. It's just like, okay, yeah, this is where we are, and it's just like a bunch of hamsters
Mm-hmm. But
in a
but
hamster.
I love how whenever they were describing it, it was basically like they're describing it and it sounds kind of crazy and dirty and like not really dirty, like but not like immaculately clean. Like people live there, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of people that live in this house. And I love how they said, like, as Ron is showing Harry the house, Ron's like almost embarrassed and like kind of scared to see Harry's reaction. And Harry's like, this is the best house I've ever seen in my life because I think he can just feel how much different it is emotion wise there. Like that house is full of love and people are happy. And it's the exact opposite of what he had with his aunt and uncle that he couldn't help but be like, oh my God, I love it here. So I think
Right, and
that's one thing that's really cool about that house.
I think that really goes back to, freedom. Like, okay, the Weasleys don't have much money. They don't have a lot of things, but
Right.
he has the freedom there.
Hmm.
Like Harry doesn't have a lot of things either.
Right.
Like, but being at
But it's a difference in love too. Like the what they had that Harry didn't really have at home was love. Like there's a lot of love in that house.
the Dursleys' house, not Ron. Ron doesn't go to the Dursleys. He does,
Well, he
but
did
lives
to get
there.
Ron, to get
Yeah,
Harry.
to get Harry. But Harry doesn't have stuff there. There's
Mhm.
stuff there, he doesn't have love there. He has to watch everybody else have stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to the Weasley's house and he's like, man, like these people, sure, they don't have all the possessions. So, I'm not at all of people that have possessions because the
Mm-hmm.
people that I see that have possessions are horrible people.
Yeah.
And so these people don't have possessions. So they're like me in that, but they have love. And I've never had love.
Mm-hmm.
And they're giving me love. And I absolutely love this, says Harry.
Right. Yeah. I also loved how, or thought it was cool how, as he's finally getting to meet Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, like Mr. Weasley is a trip to me because his wife is absolutely exploding with the fact that, the kids took the car that Mr. Weasley's not supposed to have, and did all this stuff with it. And the first thing out of Mr. Weasley's mouth was, "How did it do? Did everything go okay?" And then his wife was like, "That is not your job right now." He's like, "Oh yeah, that was bad, kids. Terrible. Don't do that. Bad."
Don't enchant muggle artifacts.
Which is even better because his office is the misuse of Muggle artifacts.
Right.
So it's like the absolute definition of do as I say, not as I do.
But who's misusing muggle artifacts?
Well,
Wizards?
we find that out later. Like, there's wizards that are misusing the Muggle artifacts because they're like, we find out that there are people that like enchant keys to make them shrink.
Oh, yeah.
And like, there's all this other little, like the one witch that had an enchanted teapot that made that whenever somebody bought it that wasn't a witch, like squirted boiling water on people. Like,
That's
stuff happens because the muggles come across it and they got to have somebody that wants to deal with it. And everybody else is like, muggle stuff.
Anything else of note before they leave the burrow?
The only thing that I really thought was kind of fun was the denoming. And because Harry was like, "Oh yeah, my aunt and uncle have garden gnomes. They're the little statue looking things." And Ron's like, not exactly." To me, that was like another one of those things that's like, it's so different than what Harry's used to. But he was just like, so this is how it could be. Like, seeing all of this stuff going on, and because he at one point even mentioned when he saw the house, he was like, it was something that the Malfoys would never imagine because it was dirt. There's no servants running around. It's not this neat put away place. It's just kind of there. It's what it has evolved into what the family needed over time. It's not this big, sterile box. It's organic almost. Like, it's just kind of grown. And I don't know, I really like the Weasleys. So that's the last thing I got. The de-doming was hilarious.
Yeah, I love the Weasleys as well. If I can get this to, there we go. All right, chapter 4 at Flourish and Blot. So Harry uses the flu powder for the first time and ends up in Nocturne Alley.
Yeah.
At Morgan and Burke's. He overhears Lucius Malfoy wanting to sell some items so that they don't get found by the Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And this is where after all that, he goes out and he's walking in the alley, and like a old witch walks up to him and is like talking to him. I kind of picture this as like a hag that's trying, like, "Hey, little boy, would you like some pies? These pies are tasty.
You want some candy?"
And like, what was it? Hagrid looks down and sees him, and he's like, him. "Harry, what are you doing down there? Mm-hmm. Don't touch her."
It's like, stop. You're gonna need some hand sanitizer, kid. Let's go. So yeah, and that's another thing that was like a little bit different than the movie, because in the movie, whenever he gets there, like, he gets found by the store owner on his way out. The store owner catches him, and he's like, "Yeah, I was just leaving." And so, like, in this one, obviously he makes it out without the store owner seeing him. But It's still pretty much exactly like I'm like the movie for this one. How they describe Nocturne Alley is almost exactly how I pictured it whenever they had the movie. Because I was like, yeah, because it's just dingy and looks dodgy, and like not some place that anybody not trying to be nefarious would want to be.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen movies 2 through 8.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my family and I, we were watching through the first movie now,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll start it on like at 7 o'clock after we eat
Right.
dinner, and then watch it until Jules goes to bed. So we're not
Mhm.
watching the entire movie. Um, Harry Potter and fantasy movies aren't my wife's thing, so this is her first time watching them.
Okay.
She's actually watched, I think, the eighth movie. The
Mhm.
second part of Deathly Hallows, I
Yeah.
think, is the only one that she watched. And that's because we took my friend to see it. And this was like right before he left town to go off to grad school.
Mhm.
And so we took him to see it. And my wife and I had just started dating like in a few months prior. And so I was like, hey, let's do this. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks. Exactly what I
So
want to be doing.
I'm not going to have much comparison towards the movie and the
Mhm.
books. But feel free to make your comments on that.
I will. Trust me.
So after that, he gets brought to Diagon Alley, like
Mhm.
he was supposed to be. Fred and George are buying gag items.
Of course.
Um, what? There's one that always pops up. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm yelling every now and then. They're when they got their list of books to buy. I was just going down the list. And I was like, this is like the whole bibliography for Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah. Everything that he wrote.
It's like this is hilarious. And why did the school was like, hey, yeah, that's good. You know, let them.
That was really like the first clue for me that this dude was really going to be full of himself. It's like instead of just having, a book for your class, you have every book you've written be for your class.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously at this point, like we're not 100% sure that he's going to be the teacher, but
Hmm.
it's kind of pointed that guy's going to be the teacher, and it's just like, come on, like every book you wrote, dude, every book. I guess you got to get those seller numbers up somehow. Making all of your students buy all of your books is one way to keep your books on the bestseller list.
Okay, so look, I just realized this right now because coming back to read the name of this
Mm-hmm.
joke or yeah gag item that they bought.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they reference it later on, but they reference it in a abbreviated name.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first read it, it's in Gamble and Jape's Wizarding Joke Shop, they met Fred George and Lee Jordan, who were stocking up on Dr. Filibuster's fabulous wet start, no heat fireworks, and in a tiny junk shop full of broken wands, lopsided brass scales, and old cloaks covered in potion stains, they found Percy. So, look, I read this as they were stocking up on Dr. Filibuster's fabulous wet start,
Mm-hmm.
and also no heat fireworks. So I was like, what, what in the world is a fabulous wet start?
It's like Freddie Feel Good and his funky little 5-piece band.
It's just like Dr. Filibuster's fabulous wet start.
Yeah, what is this? Is that
Like is it like a shart? Something that makes you shart or something?
I thought it was. I mean, it could be something that helps you start a fire in the woods when it's wet. Wet start.
Yeah, but it's actually fabulous wet start, no heat fireworks.
Yes.
So the fireworks are wet start and no heat.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Commas got the better of me there. So yeah, that's fun. I love Fred and George, and all the shenanigans that they get up to.
They are definitely one track minded on how much chaos can I cause, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Yes, yes, yes. So we also find out in this chapter that Gilderoy Lockhart is the new Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. At which point the kids are like, "Oh, that's why we have all these books."
Yeah.
And Hermione has a crush on him.
I
And
think
she's like,
every female in the school has a crush on him.
It's like, I've already read all of his books.
Right.
I know what happens."
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for Harry before they got there because they went to go to the bank to get money, and whenever the Weasleys opened their safe, there was no money there. There was like very little money, and it said that whenever Harry got to his, he was like basically almost trying to like block the view to get because he felt bad with how much money he had in comparison. So I did kind of feel bad for not really feel bad for Harry, but like he sees how little they have and how much he's got. I kind of felt bad for him a little bit.
Yeah, the next thing that happens in this chapter that I made a note of is the Lucius and Arthur fight.
Yeah, that was great. I
They're
love
just
that.
slugging it out. And Mrs. Weasley comes out and says, "What are y'all doing?"
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Mrs.
And
Weasley.
yeah, Hagrid's pulling them apart. Miss Weasley's losing her mind, and then Gilderoy is like, "No, we can swing this to be even more publicity than I'm already getting."
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It reminded me that Harry, when he met Gilderoy in the bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
Gilderoy is like, "Ah, this is great.
Yeah,
Harry, come up here. Publicity. Would
yeah.
you like to sign? Like, everybody, you get a signed copy of my book. It's got my signature and Harry's
Well, what he
for
was saying
pictures."
was, he saw Harry Potter in line, and he was like, "Holy crap, opportunity!" So he
Yeah.
grabs Harry, brings him up to the front. He's like, "You're getting my entire series of books for free, and I'm signing them. Isn't this great?" And then
We'll take pictures and
yeah,
sign them.
and then Harry, I don't remember if he gives them to Jenny. I think he gives the books to Jenny. He's like, "You can have the free ones. I can buy my own." So he's like trying to show. He's like, "I don't need the handout." So he's like giving them to Jenny, which I'm sure Jenny loves, and she's got a massive crush on him. And so then he goes and buys his own. But also, I loved how, of course, Malfoy shows up. He's like, "Oh, you can't go anywhere, famous Potter, without getting into the news and getting a picture taken." And Harry's like, "Dude, I was just standing in line. Like, I did not go looking for this."
Yeah, who's butthurt?
Yeah,
Who's jealous here?
exactly. But that train kind of plays through this whole thing where this whole book, where every time something happens to Harry where it looks like he's trying to play up his being famous,
Mhm.
Draco's right there. And
Yeah.
Harry's just like, "This is I don't want to do this." And Draco's like, "Oh, look at Harry giving out autographs." He's like,
But
"No."
I find this dynamic interesting because like usually you'll have somebody like the hero is working real hard to be something and
Mhm.
didn't just inherit this popularity of something,
Right.
right? But the villain inherited some popularity and has no right to whatever their claim is,
Mhm.
but people believe them, right?
Right.
They're like, "Oh, this guy is amazing. Look at all he's done."
Mhm.
Um, Gilderoy Lockhart, for
Mhm.
example, right? I mean, he's not necessarily a villain, but he's a misleading character, right?
Right.
He's not really a hero, but we find out that he's not.
He's basically a villain at the end of the book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like at the point where he was using the memory charm.
Mhm.
Yes, he is totally a villain at that point because he's like lying about it. And
Mhm.
anytime people find out, he's like, "Nope, you
Yeah.
don't remember shit."
You remember nothing.
But with that dynamic, we have Harry, who is popular just because no deed of his own, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, he survived uh, Voldemort trying to
Mhm.
kill him, but he was a baby. He didn't do anything,
Yeah,
right?
he's
And
seriously famous
his
because his parents died.
right, and Malfoy he's not famous at all. Anything that he has to work for unless his dad buys something, right?
Well, but he
But
does everything based off his family name, because every time something doesn't go his way, he's like, my father will hear of this. Who cares, kid?
right,
So
but
he uses his name to, and
to
he
try
thinks,
to get that, but
yeah,
he's not as successful. Like it's not he's not that successful at it,
he sucks at
right?
it. Yeah.
Like Crab and Goyle are the only two that are like, oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
the Malfoy is great, but like
Yeah.
anytime any professor or any older year student
Mhm.
hears Malfoy Draco say something, they're
Yeah, they're
like,
just like, whatever, dude.
whatever, dude. Like, sure, yeah, your parents have all that money, but
Mhm.
look, your dad was one of the first to come back from being a supporter of Voldemort,
Yeah.
and he claims it's funny. He's like, he claims he was under a charm spell, but we don't really believe that.
Mhm.
Okay,
It's like
so
your
but he just
family's a bunch
still
of
believes.
weirdos, dude. Drop it.
Yeah, you're name dropping some name. It's like if you were going, if somebody, it might it might be as bad, but it's like if somebody was like, "Yeah, I know Jeffrey Epstein."
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, like,
Like, were you on the island too? Because that's not something I'd be bragging about.
so, um, at the end, Mr. Weasley actually meets Hermione's parents,
Hmm.
and he's like so interested in having a conversation with them about Muggle stuff.
Yeah, because he saw him changing money. He was all infatuated with them, like swapping out. And who would have thought that? Like, is that like? Can you imagine being Hermione's parents and going to Diagon Alley for the first time, and like you're having to like swap out, pounds for sickles and nuts and stuff, and like having to do that. I'm guessing at Gringotts. Like you've never seen anything weird before. Now you're staring face to face with a goblin talking about fork over your cash.
Right.
Like, can
I
you
mean,
imagine what they were going through with all this?
it might be similar to just visiting a new country and doing your currency exchange.
Yeah, but now instead of doing it with a foreigner, you're doing it with a goblin.
Yeah,
So,
very strange, very
very
strange.
strange.
But also, I guess there's magical means for finding Muggleborns that are magical powers.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know exactly how it works because I don't know if there's like people that are out like searching for them, because I mean, Hermione's parents are both Muggles, and how'd they find Hermione? Then there's got to
Did
be
she?
there's got to be something that some way they find each other.
Yeah, was Hermione like, man, I really like magic. There's this magic school. Let me apply here.
I mean, she says in book one that she had no idea until her letter showed up.
Yeah.
So exactly. So somehow some of this stuff they got is it like scouts, like talent scouts, like they're out there like checking things out,
It's Big Brother.
making calls back to the general manager, going, hey boss, I got something for you.
It's Big Brother in the NSA. All right, so chapter 5, and this is where I started reading
And the old Kindle.
in the digital Kindle. So I've highlighted some things here. So
Ooh,
I made
fancy.
notes when I can. So um, chapter 5, the Whomping Willow. Platform 9 3/4 blocks Harry and Ron. We kind of
Hmm.
discussed that. Um, we don't know right away why. Um, and it really only blocks Harry, but Harry tried to go first,
Hmm.
and then Ron was like, "Oh, you can't go through. Okay, well, we are going to find a way through."
We
Um,
also we should we mention the fact that they were able to fit like 7 people inside the Weasley's vehicle?
wasn't it 7 people in one row?
Maybe, I don't know, but they fit like everybody's trunk, and it's like a little two-door car. Like it's just like he said it was like a
Well,
church pew inside.
we do know it's like a TARDIS.
It's roomier on the inside.
Yeah, we don't know anything else about magic, but I mean we know magic exists, so maybe they can make it larger on the inside.
Yeah, he did say that he had enchanted it to be bigger. So it's just funny. That's all.
Man, what would you do if you could just enchant it to be bigger?
So the platform closes, and their first thought wasn't, "Hey, let's talk to my parents. Maybe send an owl." Harry's got an owl. Could have sent an owl. They go, "Nope, we're
Let's
gonna
take
steal the car."
And then they're like following the train. They make it invisible at first and then float it up into the sky, but then it
Mhm.
malfunctions. The invisibility malfunctions.
Yep.
So they're flying through the air, following the train. Oh, yawning.
And apparently it takes a really long time because like they run out of food. They didn't have anything to drink. They're sweating, and then they crash into a tree.
Yeah. A
And then
whopping.
the tree hits them back. Because what else would a tree do besides hit back at the thing that hit it?
Not a word to Molly, he whispered to Harry. Oh, this was Arthur telling Harry. Said he as he opened the trunk and showed him how it had been magically expanded so that the luggage fitted
Mhm.
easily. So yeah, that was the trunk itself.
Yep.
Um, I love when they were about to crash into the tree, and Harry he goes, "Watch out for that tree!"
Yeah, right.
Like George of
Look
the
out for
Jungle.
that tree. Thunk.
That's immediately where my mind went, right?
Mhm.
Um, I love the fact that they get detention for
Well, I like how like they
they
were all excited. Like they were like, "Well, maybe Snape got sacked." He's like, "Or he's trying to figure out why two students weren't on the train, and he's standing behind you." And they're like, "Oh,
yeah. So then they get detention because Muggles saw the flying
Mhm.
car.
I did think I also liked how Harry was like, "Hey, Professor McGonagall, thanks for not expelling us, but maybe since term hadn't started, we shouldn't lose house points, right?" And she was like, "That's fair.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Don't want to start the year negative."
Dumbledore, he's talking to Professor McGonagall. He's like, I must go back to the feast, Minerva.
Mhm.
I've got to give out a few notices. Come, Severus. There's a delicious looking custard tart I want to sample. So,
Dumbledore's all about the dessert, man.
dude, he is all about the dessert. I love. Was it in this book or the first book where he's like, before this happens, I want to say a few words.
First book.
Okay, which he doesn't do in the movie.
No.
Like McGonagall sets it up. It says,
Yeah.
before this happens, Dumbledore would like to say a few words, and I was waiting for it, and then he's like,
Then
"Wow,
he goes into the whole spiel about not dying if you go on the third floor or whatever.
yeah,
Again, I just it would have set up Dumbledore as being eccentric and kind of that really weird eclectic character if they would have kept that part in about just random nonsense I'm saying. I also think they should have left in the Hogwarts song.
the Sorting Hat song."
No, well, they should have left in the Sorting Hat song, but in the first book when he's like, "Okay, now let's all sing the Hogwarts song," and like everybody sings the same song, but they all sing it at like their own different pace. Like some people sang it fast. Fred and George sang it like super slow and low. That wasn't in the movie. It should have been in the movie. Anyway, but that's
Agreed.
book one. We're on book two. My apologies.
Yeah,
But Harry
magical.
didn't get his invisibility cloak until his dad died. So what does that say?
Oh, do I have to die for you to get yours? We will. And on to chapter 6 with Gilderoy Lockhart.
I already
This
don't like this guy.
Ron receives a howler for taking the car
Mhm.
from his mom
It
sends
wasn't
him.
even because they took the car. It was because people saw it. Like let's be fair. It wasn't that he took the car. It's that people saw it. So if they wouldn't have been seen, no harm, no foul.
True, true.
Because people saw it, then they figured out whose car it was, and now there's an inquiry at work.
Yeah, and Mrs. Weasley is very concerned.
Mhm. So yeah, so
Uh,
there's an inquiry at work. I love the fact that the howler like exploded and like was just yelling for the entire room to hear. I think that was hilarious.
that was the intent, right? Just to be
Yeah, absolutely
embarrassing.
the intent. Yeah.
Which, speaking of like embarrassing things, so it's I always took like embarrassment as a motivation to do better. Obviously, don't embarrass somebody just for the sake of embarrassing them.
Right.
But like, if you did something
Mhm.
that was embarrassing, or or a consequence was embarrassing, then you'd be like, all right, well, I learned from this.
Mm-hmm.
Better not do that again.
Yep.
As opposed to thinking like, oh man, that's abuse. You're embarrassing this person. It's abusive.
Right.
I mean, there's levels to it, obviously, but
Yeah,
just
obviously.
like in an embarrassment in and of itself,
Mm-hmm.
I do not believe is an abuse.
No, this is more like, hey, you messed up. We're gonna let the whole world know you messed up because you got it. Like you got your family in trouble. So
Yeah, yeah. Lockhart thinks that yelling is very bad into the microphone during podcasts. He also thinks that Harry pulled the stunt with the
for this
car for
publicity.
publicity. And then they go to herbology,
Mm-hmm.
and here they are repotting mandrakes.
Yep.
I refer to Harry, Ron, and Hermione as the gang.
The gang. The gang's all
Yeah,
here.
the gang, yeah, like from Always Sunny. You ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Uh, they refer to themselves as the gang. So a lot of the episodes are like the gang does this, the gang hires a monkey to run the bar, the gang goes to Ireland type stuff. So
Yeah, as
uh,
much as I like Danny DeVito, I've never sat through an entire episode of that show.
oh man, it is so hilarious.
See,
Absolutely.
but people keep telling me that about different things, and I go to watch it. I'm just like, meh,
Yeah, well maybe if you watch this one, then you'll go meh to me.
maybe I don't know. I tend to do that a lot, not just to you, but a lot of people. So
Yeah, thanks to you.
you,
Hey, I haven't seen any like fireworks or thumbs up.
I figured out a way to turn it off.
Oh, it doesn't work right now?
Doesn't work. No, dang it! I thought I turned it off. Crap.
That deserves some fireworks. The two thumbs up.
There it is. Crap. I thought I had it turned off. I gotta back to the Googles to figure out how to do it.
Oh man, so look about mandrakes.
Mandrakes.
Um, how crazy is it that if you pull them out of the ground, they scream,
Mm-hmm.
but their screams kill people?
Yeah. And then they
How
don't want to go back in the ground.
they don't want to go back in the ground, but the ones that are this young, they only knock you out. But
Mm-hmm.
how many people have just accidentally died or gone missing when going into the woods?
Maybe they got killed by mandrakes.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is like
Yeah.
how many people just ran like accidentally pulled up a mandrake and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like and
And
they're
just
like,
killed them.
oh god, and died and never came back.
But then what happened to the mandrake? Because the mandrakes don't like going back in the pots. So are they just running around screaming, killing people? Or do they find a spot they like and then dig themselves a little hole? Like what is it? I don't know. I
And
have
who was the
questions.
first to observe that somebody died from hearing it? And how did they know to plug their ears?
Yeah, I think it was a 3-person process. There were 3 people. The first person did it. The next 2 had their ears plugged, like headphones, listen to music, whatever. The second person, like as the thing is outside screaming and the first person dies, the second person went, "What?" And they died. And the third person went, "Well, I'm not doing that." And so that's how they figured it out.
Or or this was a perfect opportunity to have a deaf character in the Harry Potter series.
Maybe. I don't know.
So Hermione has a crush on Lockhart.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Creevy has a crush on Harry.
Seems like Colin and another kid have a crush on Harry, but Colin definitely.
Was it Justin?
Maybe.
Was that the other kid?
Maybe.
Like I got something.
I can't see anything, but that's an invisibility blanket. I can't see anything.
Oh yeah, that's right. I guess I'm Dumbledore.
Must be.
Yeah. You're Filch.
Hey, easy,
Squib.
easy.
Squib.
I'm way more handsome than Filch. Hagrid, at least.
Okay, I'll give you Hagrid. I'll give you Hagrid. Colin Creevy wants a signed autograph from Harry. And
And of course, Malfoy's there to hear it.
yeah, and Malfoy was like, "Oh, Potter, what are you doing selling your
Mhm.
autographs? Um,
And then Gilderoy walks up going, "Oh, Harry, you can't be selling autographs. We're going to take this picture together." And it's like, "Come on, dude."
yeah, dude, come on. Like, what are you doing?
Well, he has to have the spotlight on him.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
that's really what it boils down to, is he can't stand to see somebody else with the spotlight going. So like he has to have the spotlight on him. He saw Harry, even though Harry didn't want the spotlight, Gilderoy's like, "Oh, let me slide on in here."
I really dislike Lockhart.
As well you should.
Uh,
Because if you think
although,
about it, in the first class, he's like, "Hey, here's these pixies," and then they even said like the spell he said was like just some mumble jumble like made up words.
mhm.
They're like the spell had absolutely no effect. They weren't even sure it was a real spell. And he runs away. He's like, "Hey, I'll just let y'all take care of the problem." That should have been everybody's first clue. That guy was an absolute fraud.
Yeah, as smart as Dumbledore is, he it doesn't seem like he vets his professors for Hogwarts very well.
Well, if you'll remember, Hagrid said that it was the absolute only choice.
No, only
No,
choice.
the
That's
only
what he
serious.
said,
He
but
said literally the only choice. Nobody else wanted the job.
I guess if nobody wanted the job, but
Mm.
then again, Snape wanted the job.
But do we want Snape to have the job?
I mean,
I,
surely
I
there's
don't think
somebody
I
that's a
don't
better.
think we want Snape to have the job though. I don't.
You wouldn't want Snape to be a Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher?
Not
Why?
with what we know so far.
But why?
Because as of right now, we can see that Snape, out of everybody, heavily favors the Slytherin class, the kids in the Slytherin house.
Okay, so what's
And
the
everybody, from what we know so far, everybody that ever went bad as a wizard was in the Slytherin house. So, do we really want the guy that loves Slytherin teaching defense against the dark arts? Because he probably wouldn't teach defense against the dark arts. He would probably teach offense with the dark arts.
somebody would notice that though?
Somebody would notice. I'm just saying, like, as with what we know so far, Snape just does it. It's like the guy that really, really wants to be like in a powerful position. Do you really want that person to be in a powerful position? Because they're probably not going to use it for good.
True.
That's kind of where I'm going with that. Like,
I think the best people in powerful positions are those that don't want to.
yeah, and Snape really, from what we know, really wants that job. I don't
True.
know.
I
I'm just
did
saying, with
like
what we know so far, I don't think he'd be a good choice.
before we even got to the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, uh, Ron, Ron or Harry was asking, "What class do we have this afternoon?" And
Mhm.
Hermione was like, "We have Defense Against the Dark Arts."
He
And
said, "Why did their hearts?"
Ron says, "Why have you outlined all of Lockhart's lessons with little hearts?"
Was it a question or it was? But it was more like direct. It was like, "Why have you outlined it with hearts?"
Why? Demanded Ron, seizing her schedule. Have you outlined all Lockhart's lessons in little hearts?
Yeah.
Like she literally outlined them with
Yes.
hearts. Like, why have you done this?
It's just like, what is wrong with you?
What?
Him's handsome.
Yeah, he's handsome. Chapter 7, Mudbloods and Murmurs. Uh, Harry goes on to rehash the rules of Quidditch to Colin Creevey.
Yeah,
Because,
Colin wants to go down and see the game.
yeah, Colin's weird, man.
Colin's
Like,
weird. Colin's that like stage 5 level clinger.
he is.
But wasn't
Do you
his
think he's.
parents Muggle born too though? Like, isn't he kind of a similar background to Harry? Like, parent like didn't really know anything about the wizard world until he got his letter, kind of deal.
I
I
want to
don't
say
remember.
yes. I want to say yes.
Yeah.
Because, like, all the people. Excuse me. I think up until Ginny was taken,
Mm-hmm.
every student that had been petrified or whatever
Was
was
Muggle born.
mudblood was a
Mm-hmm.
mudblood, right? Muggleborn.
Yeah.
Um, I have a lot of highlights in this chapter. The thing with me taking notes and highlighting stuff
Mm-hmm.
is like while I'm reading it, I'm like, Oh yeah, here's this thought. And even if I write a note about the thought and what it
Mhm.
was, coming back here, it's so difficult to be like, oh yeah, why did I do that? Or fit it into like conversation, right?
Right.
Instead of just going down a bullet list like, yes, Harry has a scar on his forehead. Um, his mom's love for him saved him from Voldemort.
Well,
And
one thing that we kind of skipped over, and I think this is both of us for not taking this note. Whenever the tree beat up the car that Ron was driving to get them to Hogwarts, Ron's wand broke. So Ron's wand broke in half, and they tried to tape it back together.
right.
And his wand has been backfiring and just going completely haywire this entire time. Like every class he's in, his wand's going nuts.
Mhm.
So that's we kind of missed that out, but it becomes important as we get further into this.
I like that you pointed that out. Malfoy is racist.
Yeah.
No one asked your opinion, you filthy little mudblood, he spat.
And then Ron tries to curse him, literally with his wand, and it backfires horribly.
Yeah, I made a note here just right because remember I asked you, I was like, I
Mm.
couldn't remember who Fang was.
The dog, yeah.
Book two, it mentions his boarhound Fang.
Hmm.
So it mentions it again, so you know what kind of I guess that was put there retroactively for me, right?
It must be because if they talk about it. Well, they don't say what kind of dog he was, just that he was a big dog in the first one. But I did think so. One thing that was very different between the movie and the book is in the movie, whenever when Draco calls Hermione a mudblood, Hermione knew instantly what it was. Like, because she got very upset in the movie, and then
Mhm.
they went down to Hagrid as Ron's puking slugs, and Harry's like, I have no idea why this is a big deal. And Hagrid explains what, like, Hermione and Hagrid both kind of explain what a mudblood is to Harry. But in the book, Hermione and Harry are both confused. And somehow, in between Ron puking up slugs, he manages to have Hagrid's monologue from the movie about what is a mudblood. The whole thing about, like, I mean,
Yeah,
down to the fact that the wizards
I
have been marrying humans, otherwise they would have died out forever ago. Like the whole
yeah, I
thing.
actually highlighted that here. Is that mudbloods are a really foul name for someone who is muggle born,
Mhm.
you know,
Dirty blood.
non-magic parents. They are uh there are some wizards like Malfoy's family who think they're better than everyone else because they're what people call pure blood. And he points out that Neville Longbottom is pure blood, but you know, he can hardly stand a cauldron the right way up. Continue. Sorry, there's so many asides, but you know what? Look, we're doing this for fun, so it's not like we have to be completely professional. So,
Well,
you know,
we're not professional, so
we are absolutely not professional, and that's okay. Yeah, I struggle with that. It's like, oh no, there's you know, there's too many pauses, there's too many breaks, or
it's fine.
yeah, I'm
It's
coming to
fine.
terms with that, right? Like we're just literally having a conversation, you and I. So and people are just listening. So if you know, if they don't want to listen to our conversation, um,
They can always speed it up.
they can speed it up, which is great. You know,
Mhm.
then we sound when they actually are in person with us and they're hearing us talk, then we sound like we sound special.
Yes, this is true.
We just sound very slow. It's really funny when you listen to a podcast at like 1.5 or 2 speed, and then you listen, you hear the people talking at normal speed.
Hmm.
They sound like they're drunk or
Oh,
something,
I don't ever listen to them that
or
fast.
they sound like I'm drunk.
I mean,
Yeah, there's some
maybe.
I listen to that are like 3 or 4 hours long, so I have
Really?
to listen to them at advanced speeds so that you know I'm not wasting my life away.
The way you can get through it in a sensible amount of time.
Yeah. So the Wood holds Quidditch practice early in the morning
Hmm.
so that he can show off the new strategies for the year and like immediately the Slytherins come in with a permission note from Snape to use the field to train Malfoy.
Well,
Find out this is
it wasn't
new.
like immediately. They were there for like ever as he's going over all the new plays. And then like as soon as the practice, as soon as they actually like kick off into the air, they're like, whoa, 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 hold that thought. We've got a note. It's like, what is that? What's that show, Parks and Rec, with Ron Swanson? He's like, no, I've got a note. It's like, this note just says I can do what I want. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's basically what the Slytherins did. But again, it's Malfoy saying, "Look, my father bought everybody the brand new brooms," and it's like you bought your way onto the team because you not because you wanted to be seeker, but because Harry's a seeker, and you can do anything Harry can do. Right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I really dislike Draco for that. Right. I have so many highlighted things here. And I can see them on a list that they're highlighted, but I have to
Mhm.
click on them to see their context.
Right.
Um, so this is where Ron's spell backfires, causing him to puke slugs. And they go to see Hagrid to try to heal him. Then Ron just explains what a mudblood
Mhm.
is. They learn that why Hagrid was expelled from Hogwarts. Um, so he'd been expelled in his third year. So he knew that he was expelled in his third year, but Harry had never found out why. Any mention of the matter, and Hagrid would clear his throat loudly and become mysteriously deaf until the subject was changed. So we still didn't really find out. They get detention, and Harry is assigned to help Professor Lockhart respond to fan mail.
I don't remember why they got detention though. Do you have that written there? Like what was it that got them detention?
This is their detention for
Oh
the
yeah. For
tree.
crashing into the tree. Duh. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
for
finally
the
serving their
for
detention.
injuring the tree,
Yeah.
not for flying a car, but for
Yeah. See,
injuring the tree.
that was one of the things that's weird to me about this book is it feels like the from the start of the term to now, like a lot of time has passed.
It
And
feels
they're
like that.
just now serving detention.
Yeah,
Like
I
this
did think.
isn't like 2 or 3 days later. This is like if this has been like weeks.
Yeah, yeah. The first letter, the first fan letter goes to Gladys Gudgeon.
Mhm.
Bless her, huge fan of mine. So it's an alliterative name, right? And so
Yeah.
like we know that all of Lockhart's books are alliterative
Mhm.
in the titles. So I
Yeah.
was like wondering, is like, does he have a stack of fake fans?
He might. He seems like the kind of guy that would. Since he
Yeah,
knew
he's like, look
since
at
he
all my
knew
fans here.
Harry, since he knew Harry was going to come help him with his fan mail,
Yeah.
he seems like the kind of guy that would have a stack of fake fan mail to try to impress Harry with how cool he is.
And then the end of it, Harry's walking away from his detention and he hears a voice.
Well, he hears it while he's there with Gilderoy. Is the first he hears something,
Uh, yeah,
and
he
then
does.
Gilderoy's like, "Oh, your brain's getting fuzzy. Look how long we've been here." And so
Yeah,
he
it was
lets
a,
him leave, and then he hears it again in the hallway.
I love the way it's described and the foreshadowing of what it
Hmm.
is, right? So it was a voice to chill the bone marrow, a voice of breathtaking ice cold venom.
Hmm.
So like just that foreshadowing, like, okay, ice cold, something's going
Yep.
to freeze you
Hmm.
or petrify you.
And it's venom,
Venom.
which
Uh,
because we find out later it's a giant snake.
yeah.
So
It's the voice says, come to me. Let me rip you. Let me tear you. Let me kill you.
mhm.
Good for me for being a dad and tackling everything everywhere and all at once.
Mhm.
It's kind of like that title of that movie.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The
I
everything
never
everywhere
watched the
all at
movie,
once.
but yeah,
I didn't either.
I heard it was good. What else was good is the Death Day party for Sir Nicholas
Nearly headless Nick.
Demimsey. Nicholas Demimsey, is that his
Mhm.
name?
See, again, like we got robbed by like this would have been cool to have in the movie. Not having the ghost be as central to the plot in the movie as they are in the book
Hmm.
is still looking back is a giant negative for me.
Looking back at me, I see that we never really got it right.
Exactly. They didn't get it right because they missed a. Because I mean, it all could have been CGI anyway. It's not like they really had to do much with it. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
did notice. So last night in the section of the first, sorry, I'm getting something off of my screen here. The first movie, Nearly Headless Nick, when they first meet him, and Hermione's like, "Nearly headless? How can you be
right,
nearly
and he's
headless?"
just like,
Yeah, but right before that, he or somewhere around there, he was commenting as he's flying by that he was denied entry into the headless hunt again,
mhm,
which he actually states that in this book.
yeah,
He talks about that in this book, which he was denied entry into yeah, the
yeah,
headless hunt.
because he talks about how maybe if Harry's there, he's trying to use Harry's celebrity with the goat, like as Harry's status as a celebrity amongst wizard to help influence the headless hunt. So
Right. Um, but before that even happened, so I mean, he mentions it that he was denied. Um, but prior to that, we meet up with Hagrid, and he's got these pumpkins that are swelling to the size of garden sheds.
mhm.
So he's used some engorging charm on his pumpkins. Um, these pumpkins never come back. I mean, I think he mentions that they were for Halloween, but the amount of like description on them, I thought they would be, integral to some part of the plot.
Yeah, I mean, I think had it does seem. I think it's just like an excuse to point out that Hagrid's still using magic. Like that's because it mentions the pink umbrella and leaning up in the corner.
That's a good point.
So I really think that's the only point to it is to point out that he's still using magic,
Yeah, that is
like
a
kind
real
of on the slick.
um going back to Nearly Headless Nick. I love his letter that he got. It says, "We can only accept huntsmen whose heads have parted company with their bodies. You will appreciate that it would be impossible otherwise for members to participate in hunt activities such as horseback head juggling and head polo.
I
It
mean, they
is
have a
with
point.
greatest they do.
They have a great point.
It is with the greatest regret, therefore, that I must inform you that you do not fulfill our requirement. With the very best wishes, Sir Patrick Delaney Podmore."
I mean,
So
if you can't take your head off and throw it to the guy next to you, then you can't be in the reindeer games.
exactly, you um, I love that Harry. So Harry goes to Filch's office, because when he came back from the Quidditch practice, it has been raining like terribly. He
Mhm.
comes back and he's tracking mud all over the place. So Filch is like, "Oh, I got you for leaving mud everywhere. You're gonna
Mhm.
get detention and you're gonna get expelled." Um, Nearly
Well,
Headless Nick actually
well,
almost
he's really
convinced.
upset because his cat had been petrified. That
No, not yet.
Yeah, because his cat gets petrified as Harry's coming back from the
Oh yeah.
Halloween
Why
party.
did I not make a note of that?
I don't know, sir. I wasn't there when you read it.
I I
So Harry and crew are on their way back from the Death Day party, and they find the chamber
no,
has been opened.
nope, 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 nope.
Yeah, because then they're all like, well, why are y'all even in this hallway? Why weren't you at
No,
whatever?
no, no. This is before.
Are you sure?
Yes. I don't write notes out of order, sir. So Harry goes to Filch's office for tracking in mud after a rainy Quidditch practice. Then Nearly Headless Nick convinced Peeves to create a distraction to get Harry out of trouble.
Dude.
Then Harry found
Okay,
out that Filch is trying to learn beginner's magic. He's got the quick spell, a correspondence course in beginner's magic.
bro, page 138.
Page 127 is where he finds out that
Oh,
Filch
what?
has quick spell, a correspondence course of beginner's magic.
Well, then they weren't even at the Death Day party yet then.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't made it to the Death Day party
Oh,
yet.
well, I'm an idiot. You know this.
I mean,
That's why we're not professionals.
you said that, not me, right? You said you were an idiot, not
I
me.
did.
Man.
I did say I'm an idiot.
That's-
I own it. It's fine.
I think you're a very intelligent man. It's also a
And
meathead, you know.
sometimes I'm intelligent.
I'm sorry. I assumed you were a man.
I am a man. I just said sometimes I'm intelligent.
Oh, I'm glad my assumption was correct, and
Yes.
neither you or me are asked. Filch takes him to
Yes.
his office for muddying up the hallways
Right.
because he thinks he can get him in trouble with the professors.
Yeah. Because I mean,
He has to clean all this shit up,
why the janitor having to clean is such a horrible thing.
right? I mean, if everything remains spotless, which they could use magic for, right? They
Or at
could
least
have they could Fantasia it up,
Fantasia.
dancing broomsticks, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
I need to rewatch that movie. It's been so many years since I watched it. It's a magical movie.
It is a magical movie.
I mean, who doesn't like Mickey Mouse like being a wizard and making broomsticks and everything else march, right?
Mm-hmm. So he goes to Filch. He finds out Filch is what's known as a squib
Yes.
from a magical family with zero magical abilities.
Yes, and Filch is like he's worried that Harry actually saw Quickspell,
Which he did.
which he did. But he gets out. Peeves distracts Filch, and so that lets Harry go away. I highlighted filibuster firework because I was like, I don't know what that is, but it's funny here. Fred and George Weasley are trying to find out what would happen if you fed a filibuster firework to a salamander.
Yeah, apparently the magical salamanders can't die, or not die, but they can't blow up. Apparently,
Yeah, it is smoldering gently on a table surrounded by a knot of curious people. So next up on the list, the Death Day party. So
now we get to the Death Day party.
Yeah, nearly headless Nick actually asked Harry to come to his 500th Death Day party.
Can you imagine being in the same building for 500 years? Oh my gosh. Like, I get it, Hogwarts is big, but come on, 500 years in the same building. Jeez Louise.
They bring he invites all of these other ghosts to the party. There's food there, but it's like all rotten food, nothing that Harry and the guys, or Harry and Ron can eat.
And they're missing out on the Halloween fest.
And Hermione's there too, right? They're not at the Halloween fest. So he's excited. He's like, "Oh, Harry, you're here. You know, maybe we can use your popularity to convince the Headless Hunt to let me in."
Yep.
And so then the Headless Hunt shows up and takes over the party, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're playing Headless Hunt games.
The cool kids are here. Party can start.
Yeah, and they're like, watch us throw our heads around. And then all the ghosts go and watch that, and they leave nearly headless Nick all is lonesome. It's like he threw a dance party.
Yeah.
And nobody danced with him.
Nobody. Once the cool kids showed up, they all went to go play with the cool kids.
Yeah. And so,
let's be honest. If you went to a party and people were throwing their own heads around, you'd probably go watch that too.
Yes, I would. So after that party, the kids leave, and if I'm not mistaken, at this point, Harry hears a voice again.
Yeah. Now we're back where I was trying to tell you that you were wrong, but you weren't. So now we're back on the part where we're getting to hearing the voice and the first victim.
Yes. And so he hears the voice. Then they see Mrs. Norris, who's Filch's cat, hanging from a sconce a sconce on the wall. And the writing on the wall is, "The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware." And
there's also a giant puddle of water on the floor.
Yes. Yes. Water.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you are
Mhm.
correct. And I just remembered why. Because the cat saw the reflection
Cat
as
saw the
she was
reflection.
drinking.
Hmm.
But then who hung the cat up?
My guess is the person that wrote the letters on the wall.
Okay. Who is Jenny?
We find out later that it is Jenny.
Chapter 9, the writing on the wall. So Filch thinks that Harry killed Mrs. Norris and he's freaking out, but then Dumbledore is like, she's just petrified and
Mhm.
she's not dead. And but Filch is like, but Harry knows he knows I'm a squib. He
Yeah, he
found this
tells on
book.
himself.
Yeah, he's like, he knows I'm a squib. He found that I have a quick spell correspondence course.
He totally told on himself. I did think it was interesting that they took Miss Norris to Gilderoy's office and they were like poking the cat. They're sitting there like prodding at it and like muttering words at it. And Gilderoy's just standing back, checking his fingernails, like, yeah, y'all do your thing. Like, come on,
Um,
Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Haven't you seen this before?
Here's something. So I highlighted history of magic was the dullest subject of their schedule. Professor Bims, who taught it, was their only ghost teacher, and the most exciting thing that ever happened in his class was his entering the room through the blackboard. Ancient and shriveled, many people said he hadn't noticed he was dead. He had simply got up to teach one day and left his body behind in an armchair in front of the staff room fire. His routine had not varied in the slightest since.
The man was dedicated to his job.
Even after death. So it's like,
Just
man, what was it? I think I think it was my student loans when I was reading it. It's
mhm.
like even if I died, I was not exempt from paying off my student debts.
Nope.
It's like this dude, even after death, is still
He's still working
working
off those
in
student
Hollywood.
loans.
Um, and correct me if I'm wrong. And like I said, I hadn't really watched 2 through 8 in a while because ironically, the second movie is like my least favorite movie.
Hmm.
Um, and I think of the time that those movies came out and the books came out is um I was a couple years older than the target intended audience for them,
Mhm.
right? So when they came out, I was like a kid, but I was above that in like, yeah, that's too kiddish for me.
I was a full grown adult going to the movies to watch them. So
And but that's a difference like
mm,
between like a 15-year-old and a 20-year-old
yeah.
looking at something that's meant for 12 or 13-year-olds, right?
Hmm.
It's like as a 20-year-old, you'd be like, okay, I can appreciate this regardless of the age because of
Yeah.
the maturity that comes with it.
Hmm.
But a 15-year-old is like
I'm too cool for
distancing
this.
themselves from like middle school and high school, right? So
Hmm.
once you like go into ninth grade, anything that's intended for sixth through eighth, you're like,
That's kid
that's
stuff.
kiddish
Hmm.
because you're trying to most of the time you're trying to appease to the 10 to 12 graders, like,
Right.
hey, look, I'm mature
I
enough to hang out with you. I'm in high school now. I'm one
yeah.
of you. I'm
I'm one of
not
the cool. I'm one of the cool kids.
right. So
I'm
um
part of the headless hunt. I'm too cool.
it was a while before I watched the second one.
Mhm.
I think it was a while before I watched the first one too, because when you look at them, they look like kids
Mhm.
on the movie covers, right?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I hadn't
'cause-
read the books. I had not read the books. I watched the movies first.
yeah, we pretty sure my wife and I saw all the movies as they released in theaters. I'm almost
Um,
positive we saw all of them in theaters.
but yeah, so back to comparing the movie to the book. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the movies do not have a ghost teacher.
They do not have a ghost teacher.
So I
It's
thought that was also
Professor Flitwick in the movie is the one that talks about the Chamber of Secrets. If no, actually no, it was McGonagall. McGonagall tells them about the Chamber of Secrets.
um so I remembered you saying that we missed out in the movies
Hmm.
with a lot of ghosts. And so I was like, they involved it again,
Hmm.
like really ingrained in Hogwarts.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
Peeves isn't in the movie at all.
yeah,
Poltergeist, he's not in the movie at all. And he's honestly kind of important in the book. So like he's popping up in different places in the book, and he's not in the movie. Not one time.
yeah.
I don't even think he gets an honorable mention in the movie.
I can't recall either. So then the gang go to research the chamber and its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
This is where they learn about the four founders of Hogwarts,
Mm-hmm.
that they were friends. And then Salazar Slytherin was like, he believed that only purebloods
Mm-hmm.
should be allowed in. And he created this chamber of secrets and then disappeared, right?
Created the Chamber of Secrets in secret.
In secret. And then left.
Yeah.
They go and ask, so this is interesting now that I've finished the book and coming back to this note, is they ask Moaning Myrtle if she heard anything. Um, I assume about the Chamber of Secrets. She
They don't ask her about that until way later.
um I have
About the Chamber of Secrets?
I wrote here, I didn't highlight anything, but let's see here. So yeah, there was Slytherin left because there was a argument on the subject of mudbloods and purebloods
Mm-hmm.
between him and Gryffindor, and he left.
Because don't they come back and find the floor flooded?
Um,
And that's when they go into the girls' bathroom for Moaning Myrtle.
what was it? Remember all the water on the floor? Where did that come from? Someone's mopped it up. It was about here, said Ron, recovering himself a few paces past Filch's chair and pointing level with this door. And then they realize that's the girls' bathroom. They go in.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this is a girls' bathroom. They're not girls.
Right.
Ron and Hermione. Then Moaning Myrtle comes out and she's like, I wish people would stop talking behind my back. I do have feelings, even if I am dead. And then they asked her, we wanted to ask you if you've seen anything funny lately because a cat was attacked right outside your front door on Halloween.
Okay, so it's later is when they go back because there's later whenever there's more water on the floor, they go to talk to her again about.
No, they go back to her
Mm.
later after they find out from Aragog
Well,
that
no, they because they go to her because she floods the basement because that's when Harry gets the diary. He gets the diary from because somebody tried to throw it into the bathroom.
events are getting muddled in my brain now. But I know for a fact they do go and ask her if
Yeah,
she saw anything because the cat, and I do know later on they go back and talk to her because they find out from Aragog
right,
that originally the thing that happened that Tom
right.
Riddle saved the school from was
Mm-hmm.
that a girl
A girl
was
died.
killed in the bathroom.
Yep.
And so it's funny, I actually highlighted something because Ron, this is later on, but when they meet Aragog, Ron,
Mhm.
after reading Aragog, Ron said, what was the point of us going into the Forbidden Forest? And I actually highlighted that. I was like, yeah, I'm wondering the same thing.
Right.
But then I remembered, like, oh, okay, the whole thing was Aragog told them
About Moaning
a
Myrtle.
girl dying in the
Yep.
bathroom. And then they were like, oh, that's
Yep.
Moaning Myrtle. So next Hermione devises the plan for Polyjuice Potion
Mhm.
because they think that Draco is involved. So they
Yep.
want to find out from Draco.
Because he was the only one that really he was like excited about the kids getting hurt. Like that was like as if he needed a reason to like him any less. He was like the only one that was like super happy about people getting hurt.
Yeah, weird kid, man.
Yeah.
Total sociopath, right? This kid probably kills cats,
He probably did.
but not Mrs. Norris.
Did not kill Mrs. Norris.
Did not.
She's only
kill
petrified.
Chapter 10, The Rogue Bludger. Harry plays the student pet for Lockhart's demonstrations because he's like, he does everything that Lockhart asks him to because he wants to
Trying to manipulate the manipulator.
yeah, try to manipulate him into helping them. And
Mhm.
it works because then after class, Hermione comes up and appeals to Lockhart's narcissism.
Mhm.
Narcissism.
Narcissism.
Narcissism. It's
Like,
weird sometimes
snarf.
when you say words, you know, you enunciate the wrong syllable.
Soluble, yeah. I think it
So
was funny that
Hermione,
he signed the note and then she asked the librarian if she could keep it. She's like, "Can I
yeah,
keep
she's like,
that?"
"Can I keep this?" And he even made a comment about that. He's like, uh, I usually charge people for my signatures, but sure,
Well, he said he saves that quill for book signings. He was like,
ah,
I
that's what it
save this
was.
quill for special occasions. And
Yeah,
Hermione's like, "Oh."
but I think the name of the book is funny. Most potente
Mhm.
potions. So she needs that in order to make the polyjuice potion.
I did like Ron's shot at Gilderoy. Because he told Hermione he'll sign anything if he stands still long enough. It's like, just go ahead and take that shot at the professor.
uh, so they have um, was it Lockhart? Lockhart said he was a seeker too. He was asked to try for the national squad, but preferred to dedicate his life to the eradication of dark forces. Uh, but
That
also,
he's
if you ever,
Gilderoy's the same guy that says I benched 400 in high school.
oh, absolutely,
100%.
yeah, yes, absolutely. Hey, I did that back in high school.
Yeah.
But he goes, still, if you need any private training, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm always happy to pass on my expertise to less able
Yeah.
players. I was like, damn.
He was definitely a 500 squatter in high school. 100%.
He just insults the hell out of Harry. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to be better? Just ask me. I don't have a
Just
problem.
ask me. You suck, but I'm good. So,
Yeah,
jeez Louise, man.
kind of makes me think of like a blue belt that's telling a white belt. It's like, hey, look, if you want to get better, just listen to what I tell you.
I got you,
Pro
kid.
tip,
I got you.
non-pro tip. Um, sure, they may know something, but yeah, go with higher belts. Unless it's like, hey, shrimp. So, but yeah, whatever. Um, let's see. There were some very unpleasant illustrations, which included a man who seemed to have been turned inside out, and a witch sprouting several extra pairs of arms out of her head. These are descriptions of like uh, charms or
Mhm.
spells that are in that book. Most of Potente potions.
Yeah, and they're just giving it out to kids
Yes.
because Gilderoy Lockhart signed a piece of paper.
um. Do.
So I like how Hermione's like, some of this stuff we can get easily. Some of this stuff, like something had to be like harvested under a full moon. So they were putting shrooms in it basically. And then they're like, some of this other stuff we got to get from Snape's private stores. Like, how do they know Snape had this stuff?
Because he's a
I mean,
potions.
I know he's a potions master, but they were so confident that it was like in his private stash. I'm like, how do you know? Have you already been there?
A. Um. Yeah. I mean, he's a
Yeah, I mean it's
potions
a pretty
professor.
safe assumption that he would have like the crazy stuff locked up.
Yeah. Which he never does come back and say, I knew you stole this from my.
Hmm.
He never finds out that anything was missing.
He's not very good at inventory management.
Unlike the movie where he's like, I knew you took this.
Hmm.
No, that was a
So that
later
was another
movie.
movie.
Yep.
Getting ahead of
Oh, right.
yourself.
Cool. There we go.
Maybe this incident caused him to become better at inventory management.
Maybe so. He's learning from
He's learning.
He was like, "Man, I never figured out where that other stuff went."
I better start counting all my things.
Yeah, that's what it had.
That's exactly what it is. We just fixed the plot hole.
He has a kink where he needs polyjuice potion, and then he had it all planned out. He's like, I know I have enough for this, and then
Mhm.
that one night he was
It's
just like,
gone.
it was gone. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I better keep track of it better.
Mhm. That's exactly what it was.
It's like the people that have a budget, but they think in their head like, oh yeah, I know I have this much in my bank account. Sure, I can go spend $20 here.
Mhm.
And then they forget they spent that $20 and they go some, oh yeah, I could spend the
Yeah.
$20.
Now
And
they're
now
now
they've
they're
spent the
80 in the
same
hole.
$20
Mhm.
50 times.
Yep.
Maybe not 50, but five.
Yeah.
So the Quidditch match is against Slytherin. There's a bludger that's enchanted to always chase Harry.
Mhm.
And it breaks his arm. Um, do-do-do-do-do. Before we get to the match, I love this. This is a great like speech, even though they said it's his typical speech. But Wood, he's like, Slytherin has better brooms than us, he began. No point denying it, but we've got better people on our brooms. We've trained harder than they have. We've been flying in all weathers. Too true, muttered George Weasley. I haven't been properly dry since August. And we're going to make them rue the day that that little bit of slime Malfoy buy his way onto their team. Chest heaving with emotions, Wood turned to Harry. It'll be down to you, Harry, to show them that a seeker has to have something more than a rich father. Get to that snitch before Malfoy or die trying,
Yeah.
Harry, because we've got to win today. We've got to. So no pressure, Harry, said Fred, winking at him.
Yes, and we didn't get that fiery speech from Wood in the movie either.
We didn't.
And that was good because like to me, like it really showed like why because Harry loves Quidditch. He even says like he's the only thing is good at is Quidditch. It's the only thing he loves to do. And I think hearing that from Wood, which Wood loves Quidditch a little bit too much, if you ask me. He's a little too obsessed with Quidditch. But
It's all
it
he's
like
got going for
maybe, but it like really shows that like why Harry was so determined to win. Like he likes to win. He's a competitor. But he was like put a little something extra into that game. Besides the fact that he was playing against Malfoy.
him. Yeah. And I like so during the game, the bludger is enchanted to go
Mhm.
after Harry all the time. It breaks his arm,
Yep.
but then Harry catches the snitch and the game is over. And then Lockhart comes over and it's like, oh, your arm's broken. Here, let me heal that for you. He's like, no, please, really don't. No, let me.
Everybody's like, please no.
Like, please don't do that. Please, you don't have to. He's like, I would be remiss if I
Yeah.
didn't try to help you. And he casts a spell, and then it's like, well, you didn't heal him.
But the bone's
It
not
doesn't hurt
broken.
anymore. The bone's not broken. It doesn't hurt anymore, but you didn't heal him. And it's like, what did you do to him? He deboned his
Yeah.
arm.
And like Gilderoy chalks it up to like a simple mistake. Oh, anybody could have made that error. It's like, but could they though? Like that seems like a pretty giant difference between healing a break and just making the bone go away. Not even making but making all of the bones in his entire arm and hand go away.
Yeah. And then, so they bring him to the hospital wing, and the basically the whole Quidditch team comes out.
Yeah.
They they brought cakes, sweets, bottles of pumpkin juice. They gathered around Harry's bed and were just getting started on what promised to be a good party
Mhm.
when Madame Pomfrey came storming in shouting, "This boy needs rest. He's got 33 bones to regrow. Out.
Yeah.
Out."
They're trying to, man, they're just trying to have a party in the hospital wing. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, they're trying to celebrate that they
Mhm.
they they beat Slytherin again. for the second year in a row, right?
Second year
How
in a
many
row.
games of Quidditch are there?
I don't know, but so far this is only like the third or fourth game that we've been told about.
Like, do they just play the other houses once in a year and then?
I don't know. We really don't get. We kind of get the impression that they don't, because we've only been. This is serious. Like only like the third or fourth game we know of.
I mean, in book one, we know they played 2 games and
Yeah.
then
Well, then
had to
Harry missed the
forfeit
third one.
right?
Yeah.
So that was 3 games last year. There's 4 houses, so one house plays all 3 other houses, right?
Yeah, you would think the season would be longer than that though, because I mean, like you can't just play a team once and decide you're the champion. Like, there's got to be like a bracket system, and it's just weird. I don't know.
You can. I mean, you can't play a team twice and y'all each win 1 game and then decide that one's the champion either. But that's happened in college football.
I mean, it just seems like the bracket could be set up better.
Yeah. Like that's happened in college football. The second best fielded LSU team um, had to replay an opponent in the national championship game that they beat in the regular season, and they had an undefeated season, and then they had to go and play a team they beat, and then they lost in the championship game and were not champions. So
Should have won
they should have won, but still, it's like you
any
played
given
2
Sunday.
games. You played 2 games, and the winner of the second game, regardless of the outcome of the first game, is the champion.
Look, if you don't win in the championship, it don't count.
Hey. Anyway, that would be a fun thing to talk to Wes about.
What would be Quidditch?
No, LSU football.
Oh, I'll let you and Wes talk about that one.
That year, yeah, where they beat Alabama in the they went undefeated, and they beat Alabama that year. I think it was the 2011 team, and then Alabama got
have no
pushed
idea.
into the championship game, and so it was LSU versus Alabama. And so they had equal records. They both had 1 losses at the end of the year. But anyway, I digress, and back to Harry Potter.
I'll let you and Wes have that conversation.
Yeah. Harry finds out that so Dobby visits Harry and admits that he enchanted the bludger to injure Harry and send him home.
But not to kill.
Not to kill.
Isn't this also where he tells him that he sealed the portal?
Yes.
This is the first time he's seen him in a minute, so he's like,
yes. Yeah. Well, he didn't tell him he sealed the portal. He didn't admit to it until after Harry asked him if he did, because
Right.
Harry says, "It was you," he said slowly. "You stopped the barrier from letting us through." "Indeed, yes, sir," said Dobby. So, yeah, Dobby mopped his bulging eyes and said suddenly, "Harry Potter must go home." Dobby thought this bludger would be enough to make. He's like, "Your bludger?"
Yeah.
"What do you mean, your bludger?" And he's like, "Oops."
Whoopsie.
Let's see. Colin Creevy has been petrified, so now we got the second.
Yep, this is the second one.
So the first one was a cat, but this
First
is the
was a
first
cat.
person. He's been petrified. The film on camera has all been melted. Hi, Jules. You back?
Yep.
What you got there? Your Harry Potter fun.
Is that all the Funkos?
Yeah.
Quite the collection.
We both have a full collection. Mine's on my desk. Yeah.
Nice.
I went and bought a bunch of them.
That's a lot of Kinder eggs.
That is a lot of Kinder eggs.
And we still have some like the things.
The candy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't eat the candy. We just opened up the toys. The candy, we didn't throw the candy away. Candy is sitting, waiting for
the appropriate time to
the
consume.
appropriate time to eat some. Can't eat all of them at once.
This is
You
true.
could, but you don't
That
want
would
to.
send your blood sugar through the roof.
Yeah. So it was Colin Creevy when they found it was Colin Creevy. His eyes were wide and his hands were stuck up in front holding his camera.
And all the
Petrified?
film was petrified, and all the film is melted.
Melted, yes. All right, Jules. If Albus hadn't been on his way downstairs for hot chocolate, who knows what might have happened.
Again with the sweets.
Yeah. Albus
Again,
was he was on his way downstairs for hot chocolate and came across a petrified student.
look, can wizards get diabetes? Because I'm convinced that Albus has diabetes. And I know eating sugary stuff doesn't give you diabetes. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
He's got a major sweet tooth, though.
All right. Now we are at the mercy of my highlighted things in the chapters. So, chapter 11, the dueling club.
We never get a good, like a really good reason for the dueling club. Other than it seems like Gilderoy wants to have another reason to show off to students.
Yes. I highlighted here. So they have a dueling club and they go to learn about casting spells and counter spells. Ron's wand backfires. Harry, and this is a breakdown. Harry, and me reminding myself of the events that happened. Harry saves Justin.
Yeah, so Harry and Malfoy pair off after. So Snape and Gilderoy go at it, and Snape disarms Gilderoy, and then Harry and Malfoy go at it for the first little round, and then they make them go at it again, and Malfoy makes a giant snake appear. Gilderoy tries to make it go away, makes it shoot up in the air and come back down. Now it's just super mad. Snape
And
walks
it's
up like,
going after another student, right?
it's going after the Justin kid.
The Justin kid, and then Harry tells it to go away, and it does.
And at this point, Harry doesn't realize that he speaks Parseltongue.
Right. Everybody else is like, "What did you say to the snake?" And then like Malfoy's like, "Oh my God, you're a Parseltongue. You
Ron like grabs him and like makes him leave because like this is not good." And they're like, "That's the one thing that Salazar Slytherin was known for, was speaking Parseltongue. That's why Slytherin's thing is a snake." And they're like, "Oh, okay."
Earlier in the chapter, though, Harry. So I highlighted this because I don't remember Harry. Well, I don't remember any of the other kids coming across Dobby.
Yeah, nobody else has seen Dobby yet.
But Harry says, "There's something else," said Harry, watching Hermione tearing bundles of knot grass and throwing them into the potion. "Dobby came to visit me in the middle of the night." And Ron and Hermione looked up amazed. Harry told them everything Dobby had told them, or hadn't told them. Hermione and Ron listened with their mouths open. And they're like, "What? The Chamber of Secrets has been opened before?"
Mm-hmm.
So here, he's telling them about it was opened back when like Hagrid was a kid.
Yeah.
Enrolled, right?
What would they say, like 50 years ago?
Yeah, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get the sense that Hagrid's that old.
I didn't either.
But neither of the other two are like, "Who's Dobby?"
Well, I don't think they've seen him, but I think Harry told him about it, because I think whenever they were like, "Why didn't you write to me?" and he was talking about, "Oh, well, this house elf was keeping my letters."
Oh, maybe so. I
I think that was back in the first chapter, or the second chapter, maybe. So that's why they weren't like, who's Dobby? I think I'm pretty sure he's told them about Dobby at this point, but they just have not seen him for themselves.
Yes, my dog just came and used his nose to push open my door. I thought Jules was messing with me.
You got your own house elf.
He's weird like that. Like I told you before that I can see just at a perfect angle the
Yep.
door to my bedroom from where I sit at my desk here. And a lot of times during the day I look out and he just has his paws crossed in his head here
Hanging out.
and just staring at me down the hallway through the open door. But the first years were now moving around the castle in tight knit groups as though scared they would be attacked if they ventured forth alone. So this is one of the more exciting things to me about this book is because it's like this. There's actual like I actually got a sense of fear.
Like tension starting to build.
Yeah, in the
Mhm.
first one, I didn't really get much tension.
Mhm.
Okay, it's like, oh, something's going on. I hope they find out. Oh, yeah, okay. And then at the end, it's like, oh my God, it's Professor Quirrell, not Snape.
Mhm.
But it was like, you know, didn't like build up like, oh my God, okay. Several events are happening
Yeah.
that's causing the entire school's um actions to change, right?
Mhm.
Their schedules are changing and the things that they're doing, there's no longer um a free reign of walking around Hogwarts, right?
Yeah. I think for me personally, like the reason why I say like for me the book doesn't pick up until the end is because like even that was like that part about the first year's walking around in tight groups, it was like a blurb and then she moves on. Like in the movie, you can see like all of the other like it's not just the first year's doing it, it's like everything around them is changing, and you can see Harry, Ron, and Hermione like really starting to stress about the polyjuice potion, the timing, what else is going on. You can see that like in here, like it's they mention it, but they those three are still kind of going about business as usual. And I think that's for me what was like the main people that were in focus on this were just like, yeah, we need to get this done. Okay, we're doing this now. And every
And
like
you're saying in the book?
yeah, in the book, but in the movie, like I think they did a better job of building the tension than she does in the book,
Hmm.
personally.
I haven't watched the second movie in a while. I don't know. I think the first time I watched it just really left a weird sense.
Mhm.
Hey, I can do this now.
There you go. So we got some polyjuice potion, we got some tension building. We don't have polyjuice potion yet. We're brewing. We got some brewing going.
Yeah. So Ginny Weasley, she was the one that sat next to Colin Creevey and Charms, and like, so now she's distraught about
Mhm.
Colin being petrified, and Harry felt that Fred and George were going the wrong way about cheering her up.
Yeah, they were just giving her absolute hell.
They were taking turns covering themselves with fur or boils and jumping out at her from behind statues.
Yes. We're just gonna try to jump scare you into happiness.
I mean,
If that's not Big Brothers, I don't know what is.
yeah, exactly. That's Big Brother behavior, right?
And I don't have a big brother or a little brother to know this, but that's what I would assume is Big Brother behavior.
Oh man, I'm the youngest, so I've got an older brother and two older sisters, right? Um, so I was the annoying younger child, right? Jules is an only child, and it's funny because she's asked a lot of times. She's like, I wish I had a sibling
Mhm.
so that I had somebody to a built-in playing partner, right?
Mhm.
And just over this weekend, she was playing with her cousins, and her cousins are younger than her. It's
Mhm.
like one's maybe two and the other's four or something like
Mhm.
that. Anyway, like the 2 and 4 year old spilled a bag of chips in the living room, right?
Yeah.
And they were all playing together. And so I went in there, I saw it, I was like, Jules, hey, she was helping pick it up, but then she
Mhm.
left and it was still a whole pile of chips. I was like, hey, Jules, it's not done yet. And then
Mhm.
she's like, but I didn't, uh, I didn't make the mess. And I was like, well, hey, they picked up a couple, but they're
Yeah.
kids.
They're 2 and 4. You
They're
gotta,
like,
you gotta.
we got to pick it up. And then
You sure you want that sibling?
she was like, "Ugh, ugh." And then she did it, and then instead of coming back to us, I heard her crying in the other room, and I went in, and she had her tablet,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "What's going on?" And she showed me, and it's like looked like scratches on the screen of the
Yeah.
tablet, but it was just like crayon markings.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was upset because she thought it was ruined
Mm-hmm.
because one of the younger kids took crayons to it.
As kids will do.
I was like, well, hey, it's crayon, so we can wipe it off. But also, where did you leave it?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, well, I had it on the floor. I was like, is it
There you
something
go.
you care about?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. You realize your cousins are younger than you, right? Yeah. Well, if your cousins are around and you care about these things, then you put them up.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to do that. Back to the dueling club, though, right?
Well, we've gotten past the snake and people thinking that Harry is the heir of Slytherin because he's a parcel tongue. Or
Oh,
parcel mouth,
I did
whatever.
highlight a few things during the actual club. Um, let's see. In potions class, so in potions class, it's a Goyle's potion exploded, showering the whole class. People shrieked as splashes of swelling solution hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Malfoy got a face full and his nose began to swell. Goyle blundered around, his hands over his eyes, which had expanded to the size of a dinner plate. Snape was trying to restore calm and find out what had happened. Through the confusion, Harry saw Hermione slip quietly into Snape's office. Okay, this
So
was
that was the distraction.
that was the distraction to get Snape's stuff.
Yep.
Then during dueling club, uh, Hermione had a fight with Millicent.
Yeah.
Millicent had Hermione in a headlock, and Hermione was whimpering in pain. Both their wands lay forgotten on the
Yeah.
floor.
They were just fighting.
Dude, it was just chaos, right? Like kids are just like brawling.
Yeah, well, Snape set that up. Like he set it up to where it was all Slytherins against all of Gryffindors, and it was all kids that didn't like each other. So like there was no dueling going on. That was just this school seems to be okay with violence because the kids are fighting all the time,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm all for it, man.
right?
Uh,
Say it with your whole chest. Let's fight.
oh yeah. Here's where Lockhart tried to stop the snake. He's like, "Allow me to do this," and he brandished his wand at the snake, and there was a loud bang. The snake, instead of vanishing, flew 10 feet in the air and fell back on the floor with a
Mhm.
loud smack.
Now it's just
Like,
mad.
and that's a great way to piss off a snake.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, at the end, Ron was like, "You're a parcel smith, a parcel smith, parcel mouth."
Parcel mouth. There you
He's like, "Why didn't you tell us?" He's like, "I'm a what?"
go. He's like, I
If
didn't
you
know.
can talk to snakes. He's like, "Oh yeah."
But he's
There.
like, yeah, but can't everybody? And they're like, no.
It's like I thought that was something everybody could do. I found it entertaining that Professor Sprout wanted to fit socks and scarves on the mandrakes.
Mm-hmm. It was getting cold.
The other day we were in Barnes and Noble and I saw it was like a plush of a mandrake and I couldn't
Mhm.
remember what the name of it was. But I
Mhm.
was like, man. And then it came up in this book. I was like, yeah.
There
I
it
told
is.
Ron and Hermione play chess. Do 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 do.
That's like the only thing they're better at Hermione at is wizard chess.
Oh yeah. And then not Ron, Harry is actually overhearing some was it Hufflepuffs or Ravenclaw Hufflepuffs uh talking, and they're starting to try to, like, the whole school, all the students are trying to figure out who the heir of Slytherin is that's opening up the thing. It's a this girl asks, is like, you think it's Potter? So it's Ernie. The guy's name is Ernie, and the girl's name
Mhm.
is Hannah. And he says, Hannah, he's a parcel mouth. Everyone knows that's the dark mark of the dark wizard. Have you ever heard of a decent one who could talk to snakes? They called Slytherin himself the Serpent Tongue.
Mhm.
What note? I made a note. Oh, my note was, who's Ernie?
Right. That's the only time that we hear that name, like the entire time.
Yeah. Do-do-do-do-do. Hagrid. Sorry, there's so much dead air here. I'm just trying to go through my highlighted things. This is this line made me laugh so much. It said Hagrid held up a limp rooster.
Poor Hagrid.
Second one killed this term, he explained. It's either foxes or a blood-sucking bugbear. And I need the headmaster's permission to put a charm around the hen coop.
Mhm.
So this comes into play later. Like
Yeah.
the fact that his roosters are being killed, right?
Mhm. It's pretty important later.
It's absolutely important. Next note. More. Oh yeah, this is where we find out that the third and fourth victims, nearly headless Nick, who is no
Mhm.
longer pearly white and transparent, but black and smoky,
Yeah.
was floating immobile and horizontal 6 inches off the floor. His head was half off his face, half off, and his face wore an expression of shock identical to Justin's.
Mhm.
Um,
So we got nearly headless Nick and Justin are now both petrified.
Justin Finch Fletchley is his name.
So
Yeah, both of those are petrified.
Justin's the
And,
one that the snake went after in the dueling club.
oh yeah, that is right.
Mhm.
And Harry notices that there's a line of spiders scuttling away
Mhm.
from the bodies. That comes into play as well.
Yes, it does.
Do-do-do-do-do. That was a lot of expose happened in that chapter, or hints, right? Maybe
Yeah,
not
there was
expose, but
lot of foreshadowing.
yeah, a lot of foreshadowing and everything. So we get to chapter 12, the polyjuice potion. So this is where she finally brews the potion, right?
Yep.
This is where they take it, right, as well.
Yeah, this is where as they got closer to Christmas, all of a sudden everybody, all of Hogwarts is emptying out. Like nobody's staying over Christmas. For whatever reason, Malfoy is staying, which he normally doesn't do. So
Yeah,
because
so
he's
people
staying
that
and Crab
normally
and
don't stay are staying, but everybody else is leaving.
yeah, well just Crab and Goyle and Malfoy. Everybody else bails.
Yeah, Harry is questioning whether he was in the right house.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, maybe I can just take the hat again
Yep.
and
Yeah, because
see for sure.
he ends up in Dumbledore's office and sees the hat and tries to
Yeah,
put and the hat's like, no, no. He's like, I was right. You would have been great in Slytherin. But
yeah, but you didn't want to.
yeah.
Uh, Dumbledore defends Harry again,
Mm-hmm.
although Hagrid didn't truly believe that Harry did it.
Right.
But he tells Hagrid, he's like, I do not believe that Harry killed them
Mm-hmm.
or attacked them.
Yeah.
Fred and George, however, found all this very funny. They went out of their way to march ahead of Harry down the corridor, shouting, Make way for the heir of Slytherin, seriously evil wizard coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not helping Harry at all, even though
It's
they're
not.
doing it tongue in cheek. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
this is so, like, this is so outlandish that
Yeah.
it's hilarious to them, right?
Again, it's big brother behavior. Because remember what I said earlier, like the Fred and George really brought Harry like into the family. So they are still big brother behavior.
Mhm. Yes. And of course, as you mentioned, it is Christmas, and so Harry gets another package from the Dursleys that has a toothpick in it.
Yep.
And a note telling him to find out whether he'd be able to stay at Hogwarts for the summer vacation too.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want him to come back. They're like, stay at Hogwarts.
Just stay.
Like,
Just stay. Just can you move in? You've got a bed there. Can you just stay there?
yeah. So they went from you're never going to learn all this magic stuff to hey, good riddance. You're there. Can you
Yes.
stay there forever and not come back?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I would love that for Harry.
That would probably be the best thing for him.
I think Harry would actually love that too. Hagrid starts to it's Hagrid booming more and more loudly with every goblet of eggnog he consumes. So Hagrid's getting sloshed on it.
Harry, look, they all get sloshed during the holidays.
They do, like especially if they're staying. But if you had to stay at a school during the holidays, what would you do?
Same thing I did when I had to stay at school during the holidays. I would get sloshed.
I made a note while I was reading this, but later on, Hermione thought of this. But so as Harry and Ron knocked out Crabbe and Goyle, they stole their shoes because they knew their own would be too small for Crabbe and Goyle's feet. And I was like, why didn't they steal the robes too? They should have stole the robes too. But then later on that same page, Hermione said, and I sneaked these spare robes out of the laundry.
Right.
I was like, oh, Hermione got them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they probably didn't think that the I wonder if they did. They probably didn't realize how fast that polyjuice potion was going to act. I think they were under the impression they'd have a little bit more time, like before it fully transformed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think they realized it was going to happen that quickly.
Yeah. We also find out we get a clip of the inquiry at the Ministry of Magic. So Arthur Weasley is being investigated.
Yep.
For or Lucius Malfoy, as a governor of Hogwarts School, brought this up against him, as kind of looking into him. Is like, yeah, he's unfit to create laws, especially his Muggle Protection Act definitely does not need to be. Mr. Weasley might as well be Donald Trump. Like, this is the worst thing ever. They don't need this protection. Like, it's kind of a tongue in cheek there. Yeah, try not to get political here, but try to bring it into current events and how some people might view certain people. Oh, we get the first mention of Azkaban ever, as far as I know, in Harry Potter.
Yes,
here.
this is the first time it's been mentioned.
That is on page 224, and it just says, the person who opened the chamber the last time was caught, and Malfoy's like, yeah, they're probably in Azkaban. No.
Yeah,
whoever they caught is the groundskeeper.
Well,
right.
So I thought it was funny how they they changed Harry and Ron changed into Crabbe and Goyle, but they had no clue where the Slytherin common room was.
Right.
So they're just like hey, wandering around aimlessly, and then Malfoy finds them and he's like, hey, dummies, go this way.
He's like, oh.
So, and then he's like, then he just kind of blurts out, starts going off about the whole thing about the heir of Slytherin. He's like, I hope whoever does it kills Hermione next. Like, I hope she's the one that dies, and this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, so Malfoy's not the heir.
Yeah.
And he just like goes on a rant about it. Like, he just like out of nowhere just deep goes off, which is great for them because they only have an hour until they change back.
Yeah, but they really only find out, one, that Malfoy's father's got a secret chamber under the drawing room
Mhm.
floor that has a whole bunch of artifacts, like dark arts
Yeah.
artifacts.
And that the heir is not Malfoy. That's the only two things they find out.
Yeah. And then they, of course, they have to bolt out of that meeting with Malfoy early because they're starting to change.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't notice. They get back to the bathroom
Mm-hmm.
where they find out that for some reason Hermione didn't change back.
Yeah.
But
She's a cat.
she's a cat, so she's got to go for weeks. She's got to recover for weeks in the
It was a very long time. I thought, for whatever reason, I thought it was like a month or two.
It might be. I
think
mean,
they
that
said that.
does include weeks, right?
I mean, yeah.
Then chapter 13, this is where Harry actually gets, he first finds the diary, right?
Yeah.
So all the details I highlighted, book lay on the floor, nondescript and soggy. So
Yeah, they go in to figure out where all the water's coming from, and Moaning Myrtle's like, "So just come back to throw something else at me?" And they're like,
yeah,
well,
and
"Throw
then
what at you?" He's like, the book that's over there. Oh,
yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Mhm.
So she was crying. It was dark in the bathroom. The candles had been extinguished in a great rush of water that had left both walls and floor soaking wet. Yeah, Filch was complaining because he was going to have to mop up a whole bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
At least it was just water. I mean, coming out of the bathroom, it could have been worse.
it could have been a whole lot worse. And Harry opens up the book, and on the first page, he makes out the name T.M. Riddle in smudged ink. Wonder who that could be, right?
He also notices that the journal is from just a regular store in London.
Is it?
Yeah. They make a point to show to say that it was purchased from just a regular store in London.
What? Oh, he must have been Muggle-born, said Harry thoughtfully, to have bought a diary from Vauxhall Road. Okay. Harry turned to the back cover of the book and saw printed name of a variety store on Vauxhall Road, London. Hey, nice catch. I completely glossed over that.
It's one of
So
those
Harry
things
talks.
one of those things that kind of comes into play later. I will say this, like she's very good at dropping little hints that add up over time.
Mhm.
Like we're not talking like in Conquest Born level onion layers here, but just little snippets just kind of sprinkled throughout that add up to be kind of tell the whole story later.
Oh yeah. This is where they leave Hermione in the hospital wing to be de-whiskered, tailless and fur-free, and they say by the beginning of February, so about a month. Right? Should be in there for about a month. Harry, there's obviously nothing written in the diary, which he will find out later as he writes in it.
Well, something happened. Like him and Malfoy get into it again, and Malfoy like grabs his bag or something. They spill ink everywhere, and he notices that everything in his bag is covered in ink except the pages in the diary.
Yeah. When he runs into Malfoy, it smashes one of the jars of ink. Yeah, and when he grabbed, and this caught me off guard again while I was reading it. I was like, somehow I completely glossed over the fact that a ink jar shattered and covered everything in ink until a couple pages later, and I'm literally mean like 2 pages later when I read something like, but the ink that covered everything else didn't cover the book, and I was like,
Right.
"What ink?"
What ink?
And like I really went back and I was like, "Where did the ink come from?"
Mhm.
Because I was like, "I don't see it." Like usually, an author will put it like a couple, like
Right.
a paragraph before or something, but it referenced something that happened like 2 pages before,
Yeah.
and I was so confused. Uh, what else happened?
Nothing
I
much
have a
really
bunch of
right there.
highlights. What was that?
Really it. He just kind of figures out that somehow the book is absorbing ink and not the other, like not being like affected by it.
I don't know who this dwarf is, but he
It's
cut his way through the crowd by kicking people's shins and reached him before he'd gone 2 paces.
so Gilderoy Lockhart decides they need a Valentine's party. So he hires a bunch of dwarves to be cupids, and he puts on a giant Valentine's Day. Like he decorates the whole great hall. He's walking around in pink robes. He makes it a whole thing. And these dwarves are going around like very off key, gruffly. Like I imagine them to all have like New York accents for some reason because they're like, "Hey,
Uh-huh.
you get over here." They take their
Y-
jobs very seriously.
Your memory is impeccable, sir.
I don't know about impeccable.
Maybe peccable?
It's probably peccable.
Peccable.
Definitely not impeccable.
Um, so Harry starts writing in the diary, and the diary starts writing back.
And he's just okay with it.
Yeah, he's like,
I,
"Well,
I, I get it.
it's magic, right?"
Yeah, but still, like, just rolls with it. No question. Just let's do this.
And this is where some expose happens.
Yeah.
Of course, I know about the chamber. The diary's writing back. Of course, I
Mhm.
know about the Chamber of Secrets. In my day, they told us it was a legend that did not exist. But this was a lie. In my 5th year, the chamber was opened and the monster attacked
Mhm.
several students, finally killing one. I caught the person who'd opened the chamber and he was expelled, but the headmaster, Professor Dippet, ashamed that such a thing had happened at Hogwarts, forbade me to tell the truth. A story was given out that the girl who died in a freak accident, that the girl had died in a freak accident. They gave me a nice shiny engraved trophy, which is the trophy that Ron polished earlier in Filch's office, for my trouble and warned me to keep my mouth shut. But I knew it could happen again. The monster lived on, and the one who had the power to release it was not imprisoned. So,
And then he offers to
this is-
show him.
what was that?
Then he offers to show him and sucks Harry into the memory.
Yeah, in which Harry starts going like, "Excuse me,"
Yeah.
and nobody's reacting to him.
Yep. So he realizes that that it's a memory and people can't hear him or he can't really interact with anything. He just gets to see the memory.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope, because after that he comes out and he tells the crew, "Hey, I think we need to talk to Hagrid about this because he was involved."
Yeah, man, this is gonna be a long episode.
It is.
It's already our longest now. Uh, so chapter 14, Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he comes down to tell Dumbledore or Hagrid that he's
Mhm.
going to Azkaban.
Well, there's before we get there, doesn't the diary go missing from Harry because like Harry starts talking about the diary and all of a sudden the diary goes missing because then another student gets attacked.
Um,
Because things had kind of tapered off for a little bit, and then
so no other student had got attacked yet. Um, so it has been 4 months. So it's been 4 months since
Mhm.
Justin and Nearly Headless Nick had been petrified. The next person is at the end of the chapter, which is Hermione.
Yeah, okay, so that's gotcha, yeah.
Um, so I don't think,
But it was
and
but it was after, that was after the because because Harry starts talking about the diary, and then they go back to their room and find Harry's room has been trashed, and the diary's gone.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
after Hagrid goes to the minister tells what just how did I get a thumbs down? I didn't even do anything.
I don't know.
My Zoom just gave me a thumbs down and tell me I was terrible.
It's probably giving us a rating on this episode.
Probably. But yeah, so
thumbs down for too long.
So the minister sends Hagrid to Azkaban, but
And-
Harry and Ron are there under the invisibility cloak.
Yes. Also, Dumbledore has to step away as the headmaster for now.
Because Lucius Malfoy shows up with a piece of paper
Governors.
saying, hey, we all think that you're terrible at this job.
And Dumbledore's like, well, I will always be available if anybody requests help at Hogwarts.
Him and Hagrid both like there's no way that Lucius Malfoy and the Minister of Magic hear these two say this random stuff like, and they're just like, are y'all drunk right now? Because nothing you just said has any relevance to what we just did.
I'd like so Harry was telling Ron and Hermione about the book and the diary and Tom Riddle, and we do learn that Tom Riddle was head boy.
Yes,
and Ron says Riddle does sound like Percy.
Yeah, he does.
It's like, who asked him to squeal on Hagrid anyway? What else did I note here? I need to make a note to actually make notes instead of just highlight stuff to be like, I know what's going on in the chapters. I need to keep doing that. I highlighted, you met Hagrid down Nocturne Alley, didn't you?
Yeah, they're basically trying to like say like, well, maybe he was right.
Yeah, you met him on Nocturne Alley. It's like, yeah, he was buying flesh-eating slug repellent.
Yeah.
So this is the same conversation with Ron and Hermione. Also, it's been 4 months, almost 4 months since the last petrification, which if I find that timing odd, right?
Yeah, because now
it's such a long time for this to happen. I mean, it does need to go, the book needs to go over a year, yes, but 4 months since somebody's been petrified.
And now you're going to send Hagrid to Azkaban? Come on.
Right. I do love what was it? Only a Gryffindor could have stolen the book. Nobody else knows our password. It's like, did they forget that Polyjuice Potion exists?
It's like they just went to Slytherin's room. So,
right? I was like, did they really forget that it did Polyjuice?
Yeah.
Potion? But why? Hermione goes off to the library, and Ron's like, "Oh, she's going off to the library because that's what she does. When in doubt, she goes to the library."
Well, Harry says, I don't remember exactly what he says, but Harry says something, and it triggers a thought for Hermione, and she's like, "Duh," and runs off to the library. It's something that Harry says that shoots her off to the library to do research because that's what Hermione does.
So the last thing Harry said right before there was the voice said, Harry, looking over his shoulder, I just heard it again, didn't you?
And now because now we know that there's things that Harry can hear that other people can't because he's a parcel mouth.
Right.
So I think that's what triggers her.
Don't they call him a parcel tongue in the movie?
I don't remember.
Not a parcel mouth?
No idea.
Oh well, but Hermione goes to the library because that's what Hermione does.
That's Hermione's MO.
Moving on.
See, for me, the book starts to pick up here. Like we really start to pick up speed in the book here. Like
this is where the book starts to pick up.
Yeah.
Hermione is now petrified.
Yep.
So she went out to the library and is petrified.
Hermione and a Ravenclaw. or a
What?
Hufflepuff. One of them. There was two of them that got petrified. Hermione and somebody else, and it was the same. It was the same girl that, whenever they were trying to get into the Slytherin common room, that they had asked for the password from.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Where was that note? Sorry. I will find it. I will let you know who it was.
I don't remember what her name was. I just know that she was the same person that they had asked for directions to the Slytherin common room. And I guess she was also a prefect, because Percy was like, I can't believe it would go after a prefect.
Oh, was that Percy's girlfriend?
It turns out towards the end, yeah, we figure out that was also his girlfriend. Yeah.
Was it a? It was a Ravenclaw.
Yeah, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, one of them.
Yeah. But anyway, yep. So two more are petrified. This is where it picks up. They're dead. They're serious. And then this is where Cornelius Fudge comes in and brings Hagrid off to Azkaban and sends Dumbledore away.
Yep.
being
Because they were just getting ready. They were getting ready to do the Quidditch match, and then they canceled the Quidditch match because Hermione got attacked.
Yep. Chapter 15, Aragog. This is where they try to find out more information. Hagrid luckily gave them the information of follow the trail of spiders.
So
they
watch
go
out, because it's a giant spider and it's going to try to kill you.
Yes.
Which he failed to mention.
I did highlight somewhere something had 6 legs. But I made a lot of notes in this chapter. We are getting to the end, so it won't be that much longer. Harry and Ron tried to visit Hermione, but visitors were now barred from the hospital wing. They could not do that. Dumbledore's quote was, "I will only have truly left this school when none here are loyal to me. Help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it." Then Malfoy he's like, "Hey Snape, why don't you apply for the headmaster job?" And Snape's like, "Nah, I don't think so."
Yeah, Malfoy is practically giddy with himself with everything that's going on. This is like Malfoy's dream come true. Dumbledore's gone. All the people of basically all the poor people are getting hammered, and he is absolutely loving it.
I'm interested in knowing what Abyssinian shrivel figs are.
Ask the Google, because I don't know.
In their herbology class, they were pruning them.
Yeah.
This is where Ernie Macmillan, the Ravenclaw, I think, or might have been Hufflepuff, but anyway, the Ernie was the one that Harry had overheard talking to another Hannah.
Yeah.
That they thought that Harry was the heir of Slytherin and opened the chamber. He came up to Harry and apologized and doesn't believe that he is the person anymore.
Yeah, just because Hermione got attacked.
This has been mentioned several times, but I highlighted it here. Exploding Snap is apparently a game that they play.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like Hot Potato.
I have no idea. I almost likened it to jacks, like where you bounce the ball and pick the things up. I don't know. I've got no clue what it actually is. The mandrakes have been slowly but surely maturing, and they are throwing parties and I did think it was funny. They're like, whenever they try to move into the other person's pot, then we know they're ready to be harvested.
Yeah.
So we got the mandrakes growing.
They find Mr. Weasley's car.
Yeah, Mr. Weasley's car saves them from
It
Aragog.
it does, but they found it before
Mm-hmm.
it saved them.
Yeah, it's just kind of roaming around in the woods.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, look, that's weird. The car's
Mhm.
just out here on its own."
And then they're grabbed by spiders.
Oh yeah, Harry saw here's where I highlighted 6 legs. This is weird. Harry saw what had hold of him was marching on 6 immensely long, hairy legs,
Mm-hmm.
the front 2 clutching him tightly. Okay. It was walking on 6 legs, and then the front 2, which makes 8.
Mm-hmm. We're carrying him.
Okay. Cool. I figured it out just now by reading it out loud. I was like, what has 6 legs?
A spider with 8 that's walking on 6 of them.
Yeah, a spider that's walking on 6 legs.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what it is. So he brings them to Aragog, and Aragog, of course, gives them talks and it's like, I won't hurt a friend of Hagrid's, but I can't deny my sons and daughters
Well,
something.
they don't hurt Hagrid, but I can't deny them fresh meat. It's like,
It said
yeah,
I won't hurt Hagrid or his friends, and they won't hurt Hagrid, but I can't
yeah.
deny them fresh meat that walks so willingly into it.
And then thankfully the car comes and saves the day. Now in the
Aragog
movie,
actually has a wife named Mosag.
yeah, and then she's not mentioned at all in the movie.
No.
But also in the movie, like the whole escape from the spiders is a lot more involved and intense. And here they just kind of jump in the car and drive away. And the spider's like, oh, drat.
Oh man,
Like in
I
the
made
movie,
a
it's a
note
whole
here.
chase scene.
I made a note here. This description, this line says more loud clicking, more rustling. The spiders seem to be closing in, and I made a note that said suspense intensifies.
Mhm.
I thought that was done better in here than on the movie.
Yeah, well, in the movie, they're like chasing them, like beating up the car and like trying to get them. And this one, they just kind of drive away.
Yeah. The car does come,
Yeah.
they hop in, it brings them out and then spits them
kicks them
out
out.
and goes off.
Yeah.
Here's what I talked about earlier. What was the point of sending us in there? What have we found out? I'd like to know. I said I was wondering the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We quickly learned that they did learn that it was
Moaning Myrtle.
Moaning Myrtle. Yeah. Um, Chapter 16, The Chamber of Secrets. I thought it was
close.
Yeah, we are. Do you have are you on a time limit?
No, I just know we've been this, like you said, this is our longest one so far, and I'm like, we're getting there. We're at the chamber.
Yeah, gotcha. I was trying to speed it up because I thought maybe you had to go for something.
I
But
mean, it's almost my bedtime, but
yeah, same here. Same here. It was interesting that all the students were like, exams, we're still getting
yeah,
exams.
right?
Like, you're at school?
Yeah,
Excuse me?
it's
Like,
kind of the whole point to being at school, right? Take tests.
yeah. This exchange made me laugh so much. It said, I just asked her if she'd seen anything odd, and she started to say, "Oh yeah, this is Ginny coming out to
Mm-hmm.
tell not Ron, Harry something."
Yeah.
And Percy interrupts, and Harry's like, "I just asked her if she'd seen anything odd," and she started to say, Percy says, "Oh, that's nothing to do with the Chamber of Secrets." "How do you know?" said Ron. "Well, if you must know, Ginny walked in on me the other day when I was, well, never mind. The point is she spotted me doing something, and I asked her not to mention it to anybody. I must say, I did think she'd keep her word. It's nothing really. I'd just rather Harry had never seen Percy look so uncomfortable. What were you doing, Percy? Said Ron, grinning. Go on, tell us. We won't laugh. Percy didn't smile back. Did we lose you, Mike?
No, I don't know what happened right there. For whatever reason, my video went away.
I just I just thought you didn't want us to see what you were doing. That maybe Jenny walked in on you.
No, it took me a second to realize what had happened. I was like, well, I don't understand why my video is going.
Yeah, I laughed hysterically at that, and I actually stopped and read that out to my wife. I
Yeah,
was
because
like,
it definitely doesn't sound like anything that he'd want to be bragging about.
"Wait, what was Percy doing?" Um,
Precisely.
I did not make many notes on this chapter. Oh, we do get the description of what the basilisk is, and they finally figure out that
Yeah.
this creature, this monster, is the basilisk. The monster.
Somehow Hermione had it balled up in her, like an entire page of a library book balled up in her hand, and nobody saw it the whole time.
Yeah, they pulled it out and read it. She's
Mhm.
like, "That's what it is," and that
Yeah.
explains why she was like, "Oh, you heard something? I know you can't hear. Oh,
Mm.
okay, it's something else." Um, then they piece together that the hint from Aragog, and they're like, "Oh, let's go
Mhm.
ask Moaning Myrtle." She's like, "What did you see?" She's like, "I don't know. I looked in the mirror,
Yeah.
I was looking this way, and something came out of the mirror,
Mhm.
and then I was dead."
Yeah. Well, she
Uh,
said she saw eyes. She did say she saw eyes.
yeah, she saw eyes,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Well, where did you see them?" And she
There.
pointed, and of
Mhm.
course, there's no mention of like faucets that look like snakes or whatever that were in the
Yeah.
movie.
Well, there was a. They said the faucet had a small engraving of a snake on it.
Okay. And so Harry goes over and Ron's like, "Hey, why don't you tell it to open and snake?" He's like,
Well, so
"No,
we're,
thanks."
we're jumping a little bit ahead because at this point Jenny's been taken, and the teachers have said, "Hey, Gilderoy, this is your shot. Like you can do, like you've been saying all along. You knew where everything was. Here you go." And so Harry and Ron are like, go to his office, like, "Hey, we know what's going on," and they see that he's packing up to leave, and
Mhm.
he admits, he's like, "Yeah, I never did any of that stuff. I found the people that did it. I work a really mean memory charm, can wipe your memory clean as a slate." And they
Yeah,
basically steal.
nobody's interested in a story where somebody else does this.
Yeah, they're like the people that he basically said the other people weren't photogenic enough to have the
Right.
credit for it.
They were uninteresting people.
Yeah. So then they steal his wand and go back to the thing, and that's when Ron's like, "Hey, say something in parcel mouth or parcel tongue, whatever. Say something in snake language," and it opens up, and they kick him down the hole.
Well, at first he doesn't. Like he doesn't succeed the first time, right?
Yeah, because he says it. He's like, he says it, and Ron's like, "That's in English."
Yeah. He's like,
So he
"What,
does it again.
dude? What are you doing?"
Yeah. Like, so
And
now we're down in the they go down a really long slide, like a
they do
really
go down
long
a
slide.
long slide. And then that's where, while they're down there, Lockhart tries to um, do the memory charm on
Yep.
them, and Harry grabs Ron's wand and
No,
tries to.
Lockhart
Oh,
grabs Lockhart grabs Ron's wand because they see.
and then Harry casts Expelliarmus, but right as he does, Lockhart, or no,
No, whenever Lockhart casts his memory charm, it literally blows up and caves in the part of the wall.
okay, yeah, Harry disarmed him at first, and then
Yeah.
he picked up Ron's wand and then tried to do
Mhm.
it, and it backfired and basically feeble-minded him.
Yeah. But it also blocked Ron from being able to help Harry
Yes,
because the wall, because everything caved in on him.
yeah, and so now Harry's down there, and he's like, every time he hears a noise, he closes his
Yeah.
eyes.
I mean, you would too if you looked at something and it killed you.
Yes, 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 yes. What else in this chapter? And I apologize again. I I was caught up in this thing, and I was like, "Hey, this is interesting." And I was like, "Surely I'll remember exactly what happened." Spoiler alert: I don't.
I mean, nothing else really happens there. So now we're moving forward. He's going through this tunnel, and he gets a he finds Jenny, and now somehow, some way, there's Tom Riddle.
He's like, "Tom, you have to help me."
Yeah. He's like, yeah, but do I though?
Yeah. Like he's like, "Twice we have met before in my future and your past." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's trippy. Why does
Yeah.
he hate him? He doesn't
Yeah.
even know him now."
Right. So we figure out that through a nice little dialogue there, we find out that Tom Malvoy, or how he says his middle name, Riddle, is Lord
Marlowe.
Voldemort.
Yeah, I am Lord Voldemort.
Yep.
If you changed around his name,
Little
it's
anagram there.
yeah. Then we get to chapter 17, the heir of Slytherin, who we find out is Voldemort, right?
Mhm. Yep, it is Voldemort. Which is
And so,
interesting because Voldemort has already said that his father was a muggle. So he is not he's not a quote unquote pureblood.
no, he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Also, well, I mean, it makes sense because the riddle was bought in London, so muggle born, but the heir of Slytherin is muggle born. So interesting.
Yeah. But he hates his father.
He does. But he also hates everybody that's not pureblood, which is, it's just interesting because he's not. So anyway.
But
So
maybe
he
that's
called,
why he hates his father.
maybe,
His father's responsible for him not being pureblood.
maybe, who knows? But then
So
he
chapter,
calls the basilisk. Honestly, this battle was kind of boring to me.
nah, it was slow. So we have Ginny that's dying, right?
Yep.
And Tom Riddle is becoming more corporeal.
Mm-hmm.
We have the basilisk just chilling behind the statue for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tom Riddle's talking with Harry, and it's like, yeah, this is it's a foregone conclusion. You've lost. Um, I am going to kill you. I'm going to come and take over. Then just to rehash the events. Then the statue opens up, or the basilisk comes over the statue,
It opens.
and the basilisk he closes his eyes, and Tom Riddle tells the basilisk to kill Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Harry gets bit,
Well,
but
so
then
the Phoenix shows up and brings the Sorting Hat. So Fox comes into the basement, wherever they are,
yeah,
brings the Sorting Hat and drops the Sorting Hat on Harry's head. Like, just, it's
just hits
good.
him.
Drops it on his head, and now the basilisk is coming after him, and the Phoenix pokes out the basilisk's eyes. So now Harry can't be killed by looking at
Right.
it.
Then he's talking to the hat, and the
Mhm.
hat drops something inside of it and
It
hits him
almost
on the
knocks him out. It gives him a concussion.
head. He pulls out a sword
Mm-hmm.
from inside, which he uses to kill um, the basilisk.
Yep. The basilisk, like in the movie, it's a big, long, drawn out battle. But in the book, like, the thing strikes at him like 3 times, and on the third time, Harry kills it.
Yeah, and then the phoenix comes over,
Mm.
cries on his arm, like he's like, I'm dying.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
so
he's like,
sorry.
oh no, why is it wet?
Yeah.
And it's
Why
like, oh,
doesn't it hurt
phoenix
anymore?
tears.
This is what dying feels like? It doesn't hurt anymore? Oh, wait.
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm good.
Yeah.
Um,
Just kidding.
then he takes the tooth of the basilisk and
Mhm.
jams it into the
The
diary.
diary. I thought it was very poetic that the fang that pierced his arm, because it said the tooth splintered as it hit his arm. So he pulls the tooth out of his arm and jabs that tooth into the diary,
Yeah.
effectively killing Tom Riddle a second time
So
and bringing Jenny back to life.
It brings, yes, it does bring Ginny back to life, or stops her from dying.
Stops her from dying. Restores her
She was
energy, if you will.
dying.
Yeah.
Couple other notes. Dumbledore was the only one that believed Hagrid was innocent back
Mhm.
50 years ago. When Tom Riddle said, "I fashioned myself a new name, a name I knew wizards everywhere would one day fear to speak
Mhm.
when I had become the greatest sorcerer in the world." So why did he think that Voldemort was a fearful name?
I don't know. Probably doesn't start with a V. I mean, think about
Like
Vader.
Voldemort. I mean, it is very harsh. Voldemort.
I think Lord Vader. People were scared of Vader.
Vader. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe he was a Star Wars fan. He wanted a V name.
Yep. The Phoenix poked out its eyes. Hey, I highlighted stuff in this chapter that told me what is happening here.
There you go.
Where's yeah, so plunging the the Fang into the book killed Tom Riddle, of
Mhm.
course. Then as he climbs out, Myrtle was goggled at him. "You're alive," she said bleakly to Harry. "There's no need to sound so disappointed," he said,
Right.
wiping flecks of blood and slime off his glasses. "Oh well, I'd just been thinking if you had died, you'd have been welcome to share my toilet."
That was
As
very sweet.
she blushed silver.
That was very sweet.
It was very sweet of her. So he destroys Tom Riddle in the
Mhm.
diary, saves Jenny, all thanks to help Fox, the Phoenix,
And the Sorting Hat.
and the Sorting Hat. Yeah,
Mhm.
two unlikely allies, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. Maybe the Phoenix, but why the Sorting Hat? But the Sorting Hat apparently has powers. Um, Chapter 18, Dobby's reward. So Jenny kind of explains what was going on the whole
Mhm.
year that she had the diary. Um, then, of course, uh, the big thing that is Dobby's reward is Harry takes off a sock, puts it inside of a book.
So he puts the book inside the sock.
Oh, he does?
He puts the book inside the sock.
In the
Then
movie, the sock is inside the book,
yeah.
and he gets the book to Dobby, and then
So this
Dobby.
see, and so the diary must have been tiny. It must have not been a regular sized book. Because it
Right,
said
because Ginny said she found it inside one of the books that her mom got her.
yeah.
And
So
she
in
said, "I
this
thought
one,
someone
Harry
had just left it there and forgot about it."
yeah. So in this one, Harry because Harry put the diary inside the sock. Malfoy, because Malfoy's there raising Cain because Dumbledore showed back up. Dumbledore's like, oh well, I got a whole bunch of owls from the other governors saying they wanted me back because another student had been taken, and they were pretty much convinced that if they wouldn't sign your letter, you're going to curse their families.
Right.
So then Harry takes the sock off, puts the diary in it, gives it to Malfoy.
So at
Malfoy
that
takes the
point,
sock off and throws it to Dobby, like, ew, what is this? And Dobby's like,
you've given me clothing. I'm free.
I'm free.
Uh, yeah, they give 200 points apiece to Gryffindor. So
Mhm.
Gryffindor wins the House Cup for
And
the second.
they both get special or awards for special service to the school. They got the same award that Tom Riddle got.
Nice. Um, Professor Dumbledore is thinking of food again. He's like,
Again.
"This all merits a good feast."
Yeah. It's all
Uh,
about the food.
um, we learn that Harry Potter is a parcel mouth or a parcel tongue. In the book now, it's saying parcel tongue uh, because some of Voldemort's power
Mhm.
transferred to him the night he was attacked when he gave him the scar. Um, last notes here. Let's see. Oh yeah, we find out what Ginny saw Percy doing, which was he was kissing his girlfriend.
Yep.
Um,
Figure out that's why Percy was so secretive whenever they were over at the Burrow before school started. He was writing letters back and forth to his girlfriend.
yeah, the Ravenclaw prefect Penelope Clearwater.
Yep.
And then they walk back through the gateway to the Muggle world.
Yep.
At the end.
And that's it ends kind of abruptly. Like they're just like, and done.
Yeah, it does. They don't have any like, oh, we're back at King's
Yeah.
Crossing. Hey, I'll see you next year.
Just not just they're there. Done.
Yep. So we made it through in what, just under 3 hours?
Right at it.
Right about 3 hours.
Roughly.
Yeah. I hope the last hour was okay. That's about when I stopped taking notes, but I mean I highlighted things, but
Mhm.
it seemed, I'll get better as we do more.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, the next episode is just going to be catching up. I'm going to look up and see if there's anything interesting going on in the world of sci-fi and fantasy. Maybe we can get a conversation going about that.
Dune 2 Part 2 is coming out in March.
I'm very excited about that. I am very, very excited about Dune 2.
I am too. Another thing I heard that was really good, and I didn't get to see it, was the Godzilla -0.
Yeah, maybe this is stuff we should talk about on the next episode instead of talking about it now.
Yeah, we can talk about some movies that come out. So
Exactly.
all righty.
Well, that is book 2. I hope y'all enjoyed Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Yep, and like Mike said, next week's is a conversation episode, just discussing things in the world of sci-fi fantasy. Sounds like we're doing movies, maybe some books, just a hodgepodge.
And then the week after that will be book 3, which I don't remember the book 3. Is that the
Prisoner of Azkaban?
Prisoner of Azkaban. Yeah. That's actually a good book.
It is.
It is a very good book.
It is. But so far, out of the first 2 books, Chamber of Secrets was is on the top of the list right now.
You can definitely tell that she's getting better and more confident in her writing as she goes.
Yes.
So
she gives a little more detail on certain things and glosses over other little tidbits.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Well, thank you for this conversation tonight, and thank all the listeners and watchers for joining in. And we will see you next week.
Until next time, y'all have a good one. Bye.
Bye.